I've missed 24 workouts since 1980. That's 45 years. People ask, what's the key? I said, consistency is the key. I use 4 pillars. Respect is simple. Being coachable. That's just the ability to listen. Work ethic. Be the first to practice. Be the last one to leave the field. And lastly, effort. What I want you to understand is how to give 100% of what you have.
It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Table Talk. Today, my guest is Chad Coy, Master Coach and Director of Business Development for PARISI Sports. Been a Strongman forever, so we're going to talk about that. Masters Champion Strongman, Amateur Champion Strongman. There's it's like this long, guys, you know, of all the titles, but you're a coach as well.
Yes.
So what I really want to get into is, you know, your history for those people who don't know, kind of how you got to where you are. But the guests I really like to have on are, I want to say this as respectful as I can, the coaches that are actually coaches, that actually do the coaching. Right. And a lot of the times what you find with the coaches that are in the trenches doing the coaching, they may not be the biggest influencers online because they're too busy coaching people to actually create the content. And then that's where the real experience comes from, is with that. And you work with kids, which there's a whole discussion to have on that, as well as top strongman competitors, and then Gen Pop. You know, so full spectrum. And I'm interested to know how Strongman kind of ties in across to the board to all that as we kind of go through this. So how you started training when you were 14?
12.
Okay. GPT was wrong on that one. So
1980.
1980. Mm-hmm. And what was was it for sport?
Yeah, it was mostly for sport. Honestly, I was in athletics, and well, Conan the Barbarian came out. I mean, Arnold got a lot of us started. So I saw the movie
in the theaters. And I told my mom, I said, that's what I want to look like. So she's like, when you turn 12, we'll get a gym membership. So she took me to a local
we'll get you a Conan's wheel.
I needed a Conan's wheel. But
for me, it was cutting the head off and throwing it down the stairs at the end.
Yeah, that was good. It was just, I saw it, and it's like, I want to train, I want to look like that. And I think a lot of it stems back to like earlier, like what happens when I was a child and going through having some learning disabilities. And just that kind of spurred me on to, I just wanted to train. And it's like,
how so with the learning disabilities? Was it kindergarten or first grade?
It's first grade.
And because we're kind of close to the same age. So yeah. I kind of had the same, I'm wondering how your experience was with mine, right? So kindergarten, not a big deal, right?
Kindergarten, not a big deal. First grade, you have to read out loud.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a stutter and I couldn't read. I was just I think I was just nervous. I don't know. I mean, that's so long ago, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, 50 years ago. So you're like, I was nervous and like, they labeled, you were learning disabled. Mm-hmm. So then I had to go to special classes.
Yeah, was it like a tutor?
It was like separate? A group of, there was a tutor, but there was like a group of kids.
Yeah, like a special ed class, but not total.
So when those know, they told us it was special.
No, it's me as well.
So there was like, you're learning disabled and you're special ed and you know how kids are. It's like, special ed, which is sped or retard or, I mean, all the words that we can't say today, but that's what kids said then. So it really kind of hurt. You don't realize how those hurt. And I learned to read, and then I was introduced to the bookmobile in 4th grade. The very first book I ever read was Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan of the Apes. And I just fell in love with fantasy and like that whole fantasy genre. And like they're big and they're jacked and they're athletic. And it's like, that just became, that's what I wanted. And then when I saw that movie in real life, because you read books and you picture in your mind's eye, but when you see Conan and you see Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan and you've read the Conan books, I'm like, that's what I want to look like.
Now, where did your school break for middle school? Was it after 6th grade? 7th grade? Yeah. So that moves from one school to the next school.
Right.
So when you transferred there, were you still labeled? Tracked in special ed?
No. At that point, I think I was like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, and then I could actually speak in public. I could read out loud. I mean, I conquered the stutter. I mean, when you end up there, it's, and you're like, so I hammered that down. Like I probably do it once or twice a day. I was doing like 10 times a day. Mm-hmm. I'm fixing this. I don't care what it's going to take. And that was, I think, what led me to the gym. And I think the very first time when you get bit by that bug, you start lifting. It's like, this is all me. There's no other teammate. It's just me. I can come in here and I can train. Now, granted, I learned Nautilus. So you had 13 movements. I had one set to failure. You could only come 3 times a week. I'd try to sneak in. They'd no, you were here yesterday, Chad. You can't be here yet. So I did that. And then that was the one I started training at 12. So 12, 13, 14. When I was 15, I actually had an injury. You guys can't see it. A little fight with my brother, tossed me through a window, cut my hand up. And the doctor said I would never be able to lift. I would never be able to lift again. And you tell a 15-year-old boy, I was traumatized. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm crying. And so I went through my therapy. I'm just doing everything I can. And then, I just decided, because I had all my money, and I found this is pre-Craigslist. This is like, you had the Trader. It was a magazine. And I found this guy selling his son's gym. And it was, 1,800 pounds worth of plate. Not at the time I was going to need it. Squat rack, leg press, incline bench press. I told my parents, I'm going to buy that gym. And they let me take your money, spend it on whatever the hell you want. So I bought a gym. And I put it in, we had to own a convenience store. So I put it in our convenience store back, and it was old Apple crisper. So it was cold as crap in the winter. And it was kind of cold in the summer and kind of nice winter. But I put it in there and I just started training. And I was a young kid. I didn't know anything. I read bodybuilding, an encyclopedia of bodybuilding. I thought I was going to be Arnold, training twice a day, 2-day splits. It was crazy, but I loved it, and I fell in love with it. And I think today I love it just as much as I did when I started, because it's just fascinating.
So when you started to get bigger and stronger, did the teasing stop? The
teasing tended to stop then.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I was the youngest of 5 brothers. So, getting my butt beat on a regular basis was not a problem. So I really wasn't afraid to fight.
Yeah.
You get to kick my butt. Oh, yeah, I get it kicked all the time. I've been in the hospital a few times for my brother, so I really wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
So it really stopped then. But at the same time, I was always cognizant of other people and how they were messed with. And it really, I think it developed that you want to protect people.
So because you were that person.
Right. So whenever I saw, I wouldn't say, hate to say injustice, but someone just getting bullied, dude, bullies only know one thing: get the shit knocked out of them.
Yeah.
I applied that several times.
So how did that work with team sports that you were in? Because that's razzing is kind of part of it.
Well, razzing's one thing.
Yeah.
Really bullying someone is another thing. But you're teenage boys, so we were probably all, I will say this, I was an idiot. All my high school, yes, I was a moron, I know.
I think
we all were.
Yeah.
But at that time, you were just supportive, and you was your teammate,
Yeah.
your buddies, you jack around with your buddies. You insult your friends all the time.
Yeah, you can. Are we 3 minutes in the podcast now? It's you can fuck with your teammate, but nobody else can.
Right, exactly.
You're not really friends unless you say something nasty.
Fuck with my teammate, it's game on.
Yeah.
We do it, totally big deal.
Exactly.
You just your lineman, hey, what's up, fatty?
Yeah, exactly.
You're fat. You can't say that outside. And you're in football, we all understood it.
Yeah. Now with your training, was it, if you were to prioritize it to the sport, was it a higher priority to you than the sport? Or was it training for the sport?
Honestly, I loved football, so I trained for football.
Yeah. But
at the same point, when you're a young kid, I worked and I had money, so I bought Flex and Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development. I was always reading these magazines of these guys and how they trained, and was it good information? For what I want to do, no, it was horrible information, but it was information. It was more than I got at school.
Did it influence you? Did your training start to become more bodybuilding oriented?
It was always bodybuilding because I didn't know any better, but I gravitated to big movements. So you squat, you want to be strong, you got to squat, you bench. I did some overhead pressing, lots of rows, lots of pull downs. I stiff-legged up. I didn't do a conventional deadlift until 92. So 12 years, I didn't do I didn't know anything. We deadlifted, but it was how much on there? 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, I just bent over and picked it up. Was that good? Was that bad? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was was my technique good? No, I stiff-legged it because I did stiff legs. And that's what I knew how to do. So.
And you don't know any better from a magazine. Anyway.
No.
Yeah. And that's all you know.
And then you go to the gym, and everyone at the gym's bodybuilding because it was the 80s. So it's bodybuilding full swing.
Oh yeah, stringer tank tops, boat neck sweatshirts.
Yeah, man.
Zubaz pants.
Yep.
Zubaz hadn't hit just yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
I was in high school. That was more college.
Yeah, a little later. Yeah. And then, when did the passion for the training really hit?
I think when I started, it hit. I mean, I laugh, but since 1980, if I plan to work out, I've missed 24 workouts since 1980. Mm-hmm. I mean, when people ask what's the key, I said consistency is the key. But 24, when you think, I've planned to work out, I've missed 24 sessions. Mm-hmm. And since 1980, that's 45 years. Mm-hmm. What's the big deal? I just, if it's there, you're going to do it. Like if you want to do something bad enough, you'll make the time. Yeah. We were just at the summit, like we called the breakfast club. So everyone goes to summit. No one goes trains. There's like 8 of us that got up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym and train at 5 to be back by 7, have breakfast and be ready to work at 8. Mm-hmm. And work a full day and stay up till 11 o'clock courting clients and then do it this very next day. And they're like, why do you do that? I said, because it's important to me. And if it's important, you'll make time for it. Mm-hmm. So, did
you go into college knowing that this is what you wanted to do? That you wanted to be in this field?
I had no idea. Honestly, I was the first person in my family to go to college. My girlfriend's parents, thank God, and my girlfriend were very encouraging in high school that you should go to college. Now, I like to argue a lot, so their parents said you should be a lawyer. So I went pre-law, which I was good. I liked it. I liked the history and all that other stuff. But it's like, I'm an athlete, man. I changed my major. Like after the first semester, I changed my major to movement sports science and dietetics. So I wanted to study exercise science and nutrition because I had this desire, like there's something there. Like there's something about nutrition. And I've been using protein powders because God, those protein powders were horrible.
Oh yeah.
I'd have this
float on the top.
Yeah. It looked like sawdust. It tasted like sawdust.
Yes.
Or drinking raw eggs, all the crazy shit you did. You were doing it, but I want to learn about nutrition. How does this play into athletic performance? And then how do you train? And so at that point I was changed. Really, I trained bodybuilding up to that point, and then I was like, okay, I started more, I wouldn't say powerlifting because I didn't know what powerlifting was until 92. But I always squatted and did all the big movements. And I kind of went there. I didn't do like auxiliary movements. So it wasn't like I was doing flies. And I mean, it was like, if it wasn't a heavy compound movement, I just didn't do it. It made sense. This is, the book said, train the big movements, and you're going to get big. So I just wanted to get big and get stronger.
So what, outside of those magazines, what were the other influences?
The old guys at the gym. I mean, I didn't get a gym membership because I trained at the Nala Center and then I trained at home. So at home, there was just a bunch of your buddies come over and train. And one of my friends, his name's Ron Tapnio, and Ron trained. So he wrote me some programs, and then when I got a car, I decided I want to go to the gym. So I went to the YMCA, which is where all the big dudes trained. So I went there and I just watched. I mean, I laugh because I just recently got rid of all my training drills. When my mom died, I've got a chest of these. I'm like, I can't keep taking this shit with me. So when my mom died, I was like, you know what? Clean break, I'm going to throw all this stuff away that I don't need. But I threw away every training drill since 1980. So it's kind of broke my heart at the same time, but at the same time, it's like I'm severing the past, moving forward. But I wrote down every workout. I go to the gym and take notes. What's he doing? What's he doing? Okay, how's he do that? Okay, what's he doing? Why is he doing it? And then I just go ask the big guy, why are you doing that? I just remember, do you remember Mark Chalet?
Yeah. Mark
trained at there was a New Life health spa in Kokomo. So one of my buddies goes, you need to come up to New Life. And this is when I was 16, and this guy's like 19. So I met him at the Y. Went up there. It's like, hey, you're 16. It's probably time for you to start doing some D-ball. and I'm like, I'm looking at him.
Start them early.
I go, what's that? And he goes, it's a steroid. You just need to take a couple a day. And I'm like, dude, I'm 16 years old. I don't know shit. I mean, I do know that's probably not the route I want to take. It wasn't Mark. It was somebody at the gym. So I just know that he trained there.
Yes.
I remember seeing him and going, like, that's fucking dude's badass.
Yeah.
Because he only trained on the weekends. So I remember coming in. I only went there a couple times. I just didn't get the vibe. I'm going to go back to the Y. I feel a little more the Y. And then there were guys at the Y that I just watched train and just watch what they did. It's like, squat, stiff leg press. No leg extensions, no leg curls. Some leg curls. Don't do extensions. You don't need them. So I just did big movements. And just at that time, it was just, I thought it was kind of simple, like put more weight on the bar, just get stronger. And that was, to me, it was strength training, progressive strength training. Well, that just meant to me just put more weight on the bar. It's like every week I just tried to put more weight on the bar, and sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't,
Yeah. How long were these training sessions?
Probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I would go like 2 hours. And I was overtraining. I was underfed. I mean, I look at it now, I laugh because like if I knew how to eat, I mean, I was a pretty good football player in high school. If I'd actually known how to eat, maybe I'd have played 30 pounds heavier and that would have been a different story. But that was the story that I had. And I think your story is your story, and I learned what I need to learn.
I think you learn through those things, but it's interesting because now you work with high school kids too.
Right.
And because part of me thinks that you kind of need to go through that, like the stupid 3-hour training sessions, doing everything that to failure and just being a complete idiot.
Right.
Because you learn a lot from that. But at the same time, as you just said, if you knew what we know now, then could you have been better? You have real case scenarios to be able to validate that, yes, that's probably true.
I laugh because one of my kids just posted up, and I've trained him for 5 years. And when I moved from Columbia, I still contact him. His name's Jack Bussman. And Jack's 16 years old. He just squatted 500 pounds for triple, 2 parallel with perfect technique. Because that's all he's ever known is perfect technique. So I'm like, you will not put load on the bar until your technique is perfect. And then once we master it, then we can add a little bit more. And the guy just squatted, 500 pounds for a triple at 16. And he runs like a 4.7. And he's the greatest kid.
Yeah.
He's just the greatest kid.
Topic we brought up many times on other episodes that the athletes are getting better and better with every year as we're going on. Like you're seeing kids come up with insane numbers on strength, and
because I think
part of that is that direct comparison. They actually know what to do nowadays from the start.
I think a percentage of them are listening to people like us that are saying don't do that. And I say a percentage because there's a large percentage that are not.
Well,
but in hindsight, I don't know. When I was that age, I don't know if I would have been how much credence I would have given to the 45 or 50-year-old guy that's kind of the washed up meathead giving me advice because they tried.
That says that he used to bench 500.
I'm stronger than you. You're washed up. It's a weird dynamic where back then it was even more of a conflict because there wasn't supporting sources.
Right.
You only had who was in front of you. Now, if I had 5 of those guys, that were all top competitors.
Same thing.
Maybe I would have listened, but when it's one that's like done competing, fat and out of shape, saying, back in my day, you don't do this stupid shit. And it's like,
I don't know. I guess I would say for myself, I was brought up right because to be respectful and listen. And I listened but I also had a critical mind because I was, well, why? I just want to know why. And that's annoying to a fault. Like, do you know who Dan Paff is? I mean, he was at our summit. I had to drive him around. And like, I'm 50 years old. This is like 6 years old, 50 years old, asking the guy questions. He's like, do you ever shut the fuck up? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you have been in this car, we've been in for 20 minutes. You've not stopped asking me questions. Like, well, coach, if I got one of the greatest speed coaches in the planet in my car, captivated, I can't anywhere, I'm going to ask you questions. He goes, that's fine, but you need to buy me a cheeseburger and a beer. So we went to dinner and, I just kept asking questions. And it was just, to me, it's fascinating. When you get around great coaches, why would you not ask questions? I mean, that just never made sense to me. It's like, I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why do you do that? What's the purpose? Why does it work? What does it do better? And that's why I think when I got into my major, I was a pain in the ass to most of my professors because I was always I was sitting in the front row like this. They would, oh my God, you got another question? You got another question? Or like when I first opened my gym, I bought a bunch of equipment from Louis. So I would always call, back then, you'd call his house. His wife would answer, Lou, Chad from Kokomo's on the phone again.
Yeah.
Because I just want to ask questions. Why do you do it? And then working in gyms, like I just incessantly ask questions. Why?
Well, it's a good quality to have because if they can't answer why, then you have doubts. It's a BS detector.
Right.
They should be able to at least answer the first 2 whys.
Yeah.
The third one, maybe.
You don't need to get into the weeds with the science. Tell me why do you do it? I think so many people now there's so much science out there. Science proven, like, I don't know, 5 times 5 is, I don't think I need the fucking science. You 5 times 5, you do that for 10 years and you put weight on the bar every goddamn workout. Now you're squatting 700 for 5. You're pretty fucking big and strong.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's not rocket science. Now, is that what you need to be doing? Is there a better way? I don't know. I'm a big fan. Master the basics. All the fancy stuff. I don't know. I mean, now I'm using a lot more fancy stuff because I understand the science. But when I was a kid, just put more weight on the bar and eat some more damn food, bro. And sprint.
Just the fundamental basics.
Yes,
really.
Sprint, lift heavy, and eat. And if you can do it with a fork and a knife, now you're solid. Man.
Yeah.
If it flew in the air or ran across or you plucked it out of the ground, eat it.
So when did Strongman come onto the table?
That was not till much later. What's funny, I will say this. In 1980, I remember watching around that same time, but that's back when World's Strongest Man was on TV. So I remember watching Bill Kazmaier. And we owned a convenience store, which was about a half mile from our house. So you remember back then, Coke was in an 8-pack, a glass bottle 8-pack. So I could take an 8-pack here, stick one in my armpit, and I could carry 2, and it was a farmer's walk home.
Yeah.
So I'm going, and back in the days, you play football. So I'm Mean Joe Green, I'm O.J. Simpson, I'm Walter Payton, I'm Bill Kazmaier, and I'm humping this shit across the street.
Yeah.
And we'd walk down the street and down our driveway, and I'd get it to the house, and I'd be almost dropping it. And one time I did drop it, so I smashed 8 bottles of Coke. That was not a good day for me.
Yeah, I get that. I've done the same thing.
Or my backside.
Yeah. Taking the empties back was always a little bit easier.
I cracked them. I spilled them all. But that became, I saw that. I was like, I want to do that someday.
A weird and awkward lift.
No, I think that's cool. I want to do that. I think that's just so cool. I want to do that someday. And then you started watching it. And then I graduated college. And I did a couple of powerlifting meets because one of my friends saw me. I worked for a nutrition distributor. So I was actually in Illinois. And I met Greg Gordon. And Greg's like, "You're pretty damn strong. You ever done a powerlifting meet?" I go, "What's that?" He goes, "You don't know what powerlifting is?" I go, "I don't know. What is it?" And he goes, "Well, you squat, bench, and deadlift." I go, "Okay, I do all those." "Dude, you stiff leg a deadlift." I go, "Well, that's a deadlift, right?" And he goes, "Let me show you." So he showed me how to sumo. He showed me how to conventional. He goes, you just got to figure out which works best for you. I was like, this is cool. You guys are going to do contests and you lift shit? I'm going to do this. So I found the Indiana State meet in 93, and I had no idea. I knew nothing. It was the NASA, because NASA was big in Indiana. And I had a lot of accounts like, "Oh, come do this meet." And it was over in Muncie. So I'm like, all right. I signed up for it, and I got a singlet, and I got some knee wraps. And I'm like, let's just go do this and see what happens. And that really was awesome. Then I kept seeing Strongman. So I used to remember Iron Mind, the magazine.
Yeah.
And I saw Sugarloaf.
Well, how'd you find Iron Mind? Because that wasn't
in the back. It was in the back of a muscle magazine.
Yeah.
So I sent off and I got it. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool shit.
To send off the little card.
Yeah, the little card. Again, they used to do that. And then I called and I actually talked to Randy. And Randy's like, "Well, there's one in Sugarloaf. There's really no contest." I'm like, how do you get on World's Strongest Man? I mean, I'd heard about it. I'd seen it on TV. And then it was 1994. I was playing football and we were running fundraisers. We always do a bench press deadlift meet. So I called it it was funny. In 1994, it was Central Indiana, the Central USA Strongman Challenge. And it was a bench press, a deadlift, and a farmer's walk with 150-pound dumbbells. That was our first contest. And that's when I started promoting the sport. And then it's like, then the next year it got better, the next year it got better, the next year it got better. And then in 97, they had the American Heat and Prim for the World's Strongest Man. I'm like, dude, how do you get in that? So the next year there was the AFSA, American Federation of Strength Athletes. It was going to be in Vegas. Manfred Hobel, Magnus were putting it on. That was allegedly at the time was the qualifier for World's Strongest Man. My training partner and I were going to do it. And that's kind of like, I've been doing it, dabbling, because I would still do powerlifting, and I still played football. So I played semi-pro football for a long time. So I would do powerlifting. As soon as the season got over, I'd start powerlifting, and I'd have to do a meet in like June because we started football in July. So I could never do like ADFPA nationals or USPF nationals. They were just at the wrong time. I was already in football. So I just did NAS, and that was what the state had, and everyone knew it. I was like, I didn't know anything at the time. I just remember looking at all the guys like, Willie Wessels,
Are you a gym owner struggling to build a staff that sells, leads, and sticks around? Then you can't miss this. September 18th and 19th, my friends at the Varsity House are hosting the Business of Strength Retreat at the beautiful Canopy Hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. The theme this year is Interns to All-Stars, your complete employee development playbook designed for gym owners. You will get the same systems used at Varsity House to turn brand new interns into six-figure coaches, managers, and even partners. A 10-week intern training program, team alignment and cultural leadership strategies, sales systems that make every coach a closer, a plan to retain and reward your best people for the long haul, their proprietary on-the-job training program, workshops with other world-class gym owners, and a chance to win a $5,000 private consulting package. Plus, you'll hear from elite speakers like Mark Innes, Joe Riggio, Dan Goodman, Devin Gage, and a stacked panel of top gym owners doing this at scale. They will also have a rooftop cocktail party, which will take an already great networking experience and make it even better. They only have 50 seats available. Visit bosretreat.com to register now. Use the code ELITE250 to save $250 as a VIP listener to the Table Talk podcast.
Now, I've been friends with Willie for like 30 years now. I met Ed Cohn like, 30 years ago. I mean, I literally met Ed Cohn in 92. And, then just like, I would love to compete against those guys, but I'm not that caliber of an athlete.
Yeah. And
I knew it. And again, I had the choice of being drug free. That was my choice. And I did it. And I look back and say, I did what I did. It's what I wanted to do. So I competed in those. And then with the Strongman, went out to Vegas and did that show. And that bit me.
What about it?
Athletic. Like, it wasn't powerlifting. Powerlifting, it's static. You're standing there, you stand up and down, you come off the platform. And I was decent at it. I wasn't bad, but Strongman, you had to move. And I could move.
That was so close to the football that you knew.
Like, it was movement. You can move. I can run. I carry shit. This is fucking awesome. Because I mean, reading Iron Man, like and Dr. Ken Leistner was a huge impact on me. Lots of carries. Like, we did farmers walks. I did farmers walks. We did sandbag carries. We did a lot of crazy shit as condition at the end of the workout to build tenacity and toughness. Drags, telephone. You see the Navy SEALs carrying telephone poles. We went out and bought railroad ties. I mean, these 250-pound railroad ties. You chuck that up on, you stand it up, put up on your shoulder, and you walk a quarter mile down, set it down, put it on the other side, walk it back. That builds something. Yeah. I don't know what the hell it is, but it built nastiness.
Well, the HIIT training that you're doing is also building that too, because that's beyond failure and just ape shit.
Right. Well, and I think of where my training philosophy has gone, like bodybuilding into college, and then really more. I read a lot of Arthur Jones, Ellington Darden, Dr. Ken Leistner, so I kind of gravitated that, because to me it was all about it. It's all the intensity. Yep. If I didn't vomit at a training session, I was a pussy. I did everything to failure, but then you can only train a couple times a week, so I was very limited. And I think the limitation there, I learned a lot about how to train hard, but was it super productive? And then as I started to understand more with the science, and then I did a stint I walked on at Purdue. Chester Caddis was my recruiting person. Dude, you got 3 semesters of eligibility. Unless you're Lawrence F. and Taylor, you ain't never going to see the field. Why you do this? I said, I want to be a strength coach. So he literally picked up the phone, called Steve Little, who was the strength coach at the time, says, hey, Steve, I'm sending a guy down. I walked downstairs. Steve's like, cool. When can you be here? When do you need me here, coach? And I spent the next 18 months giving my time to Purdue Athletics to volunteer as a strength coach. And I learned a lot there. And I got to train with a lot of cool people and got to meet a lot of cool people. So it was really neat. And it just changed my philosophy, and just changed. And I think where it really probably changed the biggest was in 96. I met Louie. Well, in 95, I opened the gym and bought equipment. And I'd read a bunch. But then I met Louie, and he just, you know how he is. It's fucking just, there's no bullshit. I mean, it's just, bam, here's where you're at. And I kind of changed my philosophy and went to more a conjugate style, and then how do I adapt the conjugate style to fit what I'm doing? And that's kind of where it just kind of expanded from there. And I I think if I was like a Bruce, I'm like more like Bruce Lee. I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal anyone. Do I still do some high intensity stuff? Yes, it has merit. Do I do a lot with conjugate? I have to say most of my stuff I would say is conjugate. You know, I don't say West Side because I was there. We know that conjugate. And but now it's kind of evolved into like the tsunami bar or, you know, velocity based training. So now my dynamic effort days are all based upon the bar velocity, which has really changed a lot for me in teaching kids intentionality. You know, so it's a total evolution. I mean, if you're not evolving and learning, you're not going anywhere.
Well, through that process, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, there's a couple things in training you have to anchor. One of them I would call effort, which is the intensity that you're going to put on accessory movements, like the hip machines, hip training, dumbbell. But then there's also intensity, which would be the effort of a 1-rep max. You got to learn how to strain, and you got to learn how to work hard, right? Straining and working hard aren't always synonymous. Right. Like a heavy single and a heavy triple is going to be way different than how hard you're going to a 315 squat for as many reps as possible. Right. You can tap out, or you can train hard and not recover for a month. Right. So there's different, but if you're anchoring those, you know, and throughout your path, you kind of anchor them without you knowing that you anchor them. And then when you start to put those pieces together, you understand. Like if the intensity is too high for too long, I'm not going to be able to recover for week to week. If the effort is too high, you know, for too long, so you got to figure out how to physically.
Where's the effort? Where's the intensity? Where's the volume?
Yes.
I mean, the nice thing about like traditional Ellington Darden high intensity, it's one set to failure, but only 8 movements, and you train 2 to 3 times a week. You know, but that's just not enough. I got strong from it, and I got kind of nasty. I would say nasty. Quitting was never an option for me, you know, but like once you learn how to train that hard, you know, going on the field of sports, like it's the fourth quarter, there's 2 minutes left and everyone's tired. Fuck it. I'm not tired. I'll do the shit all day.
Set to failure every time.
You do that set to failure, you know where you're at. Like I'm not even close. So I think it builds something mentally. With that mentality there, then when you go to heavy reps, like you got to look at that bar like, I could die under that bar. That's 800 fucking pounds I'm going to step out with on my back, and I got squatted. Like, you got to be laser focused there and have the intentionality that I'm winning this. You know, now there's times you don't.
Oh, yeah. You know? Well, there's a third layer here, too, when you're speaking about strongman or your athletic development, high school and above, is now there's skill acquisition, you know, and the ability to run. And then those things all have demands that need to be recovered from too, which are going to feed into. So now there's a whole nother instrument in the band that has to be played to make the music not sound like crap. Right. So how did you go about navigating that? Make it easy for yourself for strongman, then we can kind of get into the athletic.
For myself for strongman, it was really, you know, you train, like you have to, I look at it like you hit it around the head, skill acquisition. So a lot of people are like, why do you do that? Well, you're learning the skill of that movement. So how do you become good at a yoke or a farmer's walk or a stone? You have to learn the movement. You have to learn it, and you learn it light, and then you work it up just like anything else. But then that's a skill. But like if you want to be able to pull a big stone off the floor, well, if you can only deadlift 500 pounds and you got a 400-pound stone, it's probably not going to come off the floor. So you got to get stronger. So I always say this. I mean, get stronger, it fixes about 99% of your problems. If you're just freaking stronger, you're going to be better. Now, to a point when you're looking at speed, because with strength comes muscular hypertrophy. And I always say this because Bill PARISI and I get in arguments about this. Like you can get too strong. I don't believe you can get too strong. You cannot be too strong. I will say that. I'll take that one to the grave. We'll go to the mat on that one. You can't get too strong. What you can't get is muscular hypertrophy. Now you're too big. Now you can't move. So if I'm a football player and I spend the whole offseason squatting, deadlifting, benching, and training like a powerlifter, and I gain 40 pounds, and I come back to season, I used to run a 5.1, now I'm running a 5.5, you're slow. Slow doesn't eat. We have to be fast. So you have to look at how do you combine speed training with strength training, because they're both very neural. There's a lot of recovery there. So like, you have to look at that. So like when I did strongman, I would look at like my dynamic effort day, my max effort day. Like I kept dynamic pretty tight and then did my auxiliaries, you know, and those auxiliaries might be an event day that day, but that's just skill acquisition. So let's say a 220-pound farmer's walk, which is not a heavy farmer's walk, but you're going to go down and back, down 50, back 50, set it down, walk down and back, come back, do it again. But you're going to do 10 sets of that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, number one, I'm smoking my grip. I'm working the skill and how to do turns and how to pick up and how to get my first step. So I've got a lot of practice there. And I think this is something I learned from when I listened to you. I can't remember where I learned. Mm-hmm. It was you talking about. I was like, 5 sets of 5, 8 sets of 3, or 12 sets of 2. Like 12 sets of 2. Like I got 12 opportunities to do that first rep. Mm-hmm. If I do 5, I only have 5. No, I got 12. So it always, okay, man, I need to practice this. I need to get better at it. So I would do stuff like that. So speed worked into as a dynamic effort. So I got some conditioning, grip work. I mean, loaded carries are probably the best thing for you. Unfortunately, most of them are in a very sagittal plane. Like bag loading, and you're going to grab it and move and twist, and so you're out of the sagittal plane and somewhat into the frontal and transverse planes, but not a lot. So I tried to do a lot of stuff that was outside sagittal, because lifting is mostly sagittal.
That's all, yeah.
Athletics, on the other hand, it's 3 planes of motion, 360 degrees. So you've got to train in that mode, and I think that's why. I mean, in Strongman, coming back to your question, like I just built that stuff in. Movement patterns in, so moving laterally, sprinting. Like I would just build into my warm-ups, and that would be my warm-up. Sprinting is very neural, so if I did 5 or 6 sprints, well, did I have to do something to really ramp up my CNS? Because it was, and then like you look at medleys, well, why do I always win medleys? Because I know how to change direction better. Like I'm working with a lot of my clients right now, like the top level strongman. It's like, if you're not athletic, like World's Strongest Man's a track meet. I mean, the Shaw Classic, you bring the heavy package because you're going to die. Mm-hmm. That's heavy as hell. You're going to survive that show. Yeah. And then you look at World's Strongest Man, it's a track meet. So you've got to be fast. So we've got to train those attributes to make you a better athlete. So I always look at it as strongman. I think it's strength athletics, because if you look, who's the best athletes? They're winning. It's not always the strong, because very rarely does the strongest guy win. Now, there's times like you're looking now, I mean, you look at, when I was in it, back when I was really in the heavy of it, you look at the big, strong guys who was winning. And then Phil Pfister won in 2006. Why did Phil win? Phil was a better athlete.
Yeah, it's almost always the guy that's second or third in every single event, consistently, but fast. Mm-hmm. That was and again,
thing. As far as as an athlete, I was never going to win. I was a top 10 guy, top 5 guy. Times I snuck into the podium and shit. But why did I sneak in? Because you had a bunch of athletic events. So I just kicked ass on athletic events. Now, I had to always work to get statically stronger, But by the time I was statically strong enough, now I'm too damn old. Mm-hmm. So it really didn't matter, But like I've pulled an 800-pound deadlift. But if I could have pulled an 800-pound deadlift 10 years before, hell, I'd been one of the strongest dudes on the planet. But it wasn't there yet. Yeah. So it's just that fine line of finding what works. And I think you hit on the head, the old 45, 50-year-old guys. Why aren't people listening to us? Well, I think the smart athletes do, because they realize that you blaze the way here, you might actually know something. And then come talk to us, because I've already lived that portion of my life. Because I laugh, because there's a lot of younger coaches that coach masters athletes. Like, you're 30, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Now, at 56, I know what's going on in that body. Mm-hmm. So there's a little different perspective there. And then training kids, I don't know. We'll come back to that, because that's probably my biggest passion. Mm-hmm. I love strongman. I love football, but training kids, getting that light bulb to come on.
Yeah. Unlocking the real potential that they may have going forward.
Well, yeah, but it's like teaching them stuff that's going to actually matter in life.
But even as a day-to-day activity,
it's about teaching life skills.
Yeah.
Sports performance is about life skills.
So with the strongmen that you're working with now, say the higher level guys, how do you go about, I'm hesitant to say developing their plan, because they could have 2 competitions a year. They could have 8. Right. So it's really hard to strategically lay out, a quadrennial blocked program.
It's horrible.
So you can't do that. So how do you assuming that you have the best possible scenario, 6 months, where they're not going to do any
6 months?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's not a scenario.
Yeah, I know, but they would be.
I usually get we prep for the Arnold, and then when Trey got his invite, so he had throttled down the year, so we had 6 weeks of an off season.
Yeah.
To 8 weeks of prep for the Arnold. to then now 8 weeks prep for Worlds. And then we get done with Worlds, and then you've got a week. I'm having to take a week off, and it's like basically June, July, and a week in August before the Strongest Man on Earth. And then it's about the same amount of time to the Rogue for Trey.
Okay, then let me change the question then, because if one was to stay on that type of schedule for 3 or 4 years, there is going to become an extended off season because they're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen.
I was just
unless it's being mitigated,
right,
and kind of accounted for as you're kind of laying it out. Since that is the real world that's kind of laid out, then how do you lay that training out to be able to make sure the state of readiness is there? And are there competitions you don't really peak for?
Well, we'll take this year, for example, and with Trey. I mean, again, I'm just talking Trey. That's the easiest one because people know who he is. We trained for the Arnold, and now we're right into Worlds prep, which there's a couple of events that were layovers. But here's the bottom line. You have to continue to get stronger. You have to train to get stronger. At the end of the day, it's strongman, and you have to be strong. So, we're always trying to build those base lifts. So the deadlift, the squat, the press. He's a phenomenal presser. Like the events for Worlds, they're super light. And now it's just how fast can you get it done? And it's like 2 reps with a dumbbell, 2 reps with a bar, 2 reps with a log, 2 reps with an axle. The axle, the dumbbell is like 200 pounds. The other thing's like 330. These are warm-up weights. These are light weights for him. So, but how fast can you move through it? So that's where we're working on speed now. But he just did press yesterday. So he had his work, but then we still got to build because later in the year we got a max log.
Yeah, but if I'm globally looking at this, and now we're kind of looking at, 2 or 3 blocks that are more speed oriented instead of having to be absolute strength oriented, but you still have to maintain the absolute strength, maybe not push it as hard.
Yeah, you can't push as hard. You got to work on the speed.
Yes, but then that will flip. Right. When that other one comes, and you can bring down that conditioning a tad.
The thing is, right now, conditioning is right now this is the lightest he's been in a while. So you said he had a forced layoff because he tore his Achilles at the Rogue. Mm-hmm. So he had a forced layoff. Unfortunately, I mean, I really wish that wouldn't have happened because that would have made a whole different 2024 season. Mm-hmm. But now it's 2020. We can't cry about it. I was sitting with Chris Duffin when it happened because we were at the PARISI Summit and I couldn't go to Rogues. I was working, and we're watching on video, and I'm like, I literally, I think it was during the presentation, someone's presentation, and I was over watching. And I go, fuck, and the whole thing, 100 people look over. I'm like, sorry. I'm just sitting there, just sick to my stomach, and Chris is like, dude, it's totally okay. I've got a protocol that will help him. So. He did the Duffin protocol. He did Chris's healing protocol, which was. I give him all the credit. I mean, I'm not that. I mean, his that plan was great. And 6 months later, Trey's at World's Strongest Man. So and then after that, then he did a few shows, and he went back to the Strongest Man on Earth and a couple of Giants Lives where he had really good success. He went 4th, second, and in the process pulling a 1037 deadlift. With just straps, no suit. So it's been a crazy ride with Trey, but we just have to. It's really that's why you got to check in all the time. You got to. I hate to say this, but there's a lot of audibles, like his back was just a little tweaky. So how does that affect his training? So we have to make those adjustments.
So the programming's more this day moving forward instead of here's the meat moving back.
Well, you want to plan from the meat back, but you got to take into account what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So we're always taking into account that. And just for Trey, when he comes and stays with me, we'll work on movement mechanics, but he lives in Lumberton, Texas, which there's a PARISI in Beaumont, and Ben Jones is there. He's the owner and one of the coaches, and he's been working with Trey. And the video he sent me yesterday, he's moving so much better. Because that's what he needs for this contest. So I think you have to adjust everything. What's this contest going to be? If it's a track meet, we need speed Trey. So right now he's down to 369. I think he should be about 355, 360 for Worlds. That'd be his best package. The Shaw Classic, he needs that robust 390-pound power machine because it's everything's freaking heavy.
All heavy, all max, all endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Statically,
it's static. It's very static.
Now, does the season just kind of fall out that way to allow that periodization to unfold? Because if they were all heavy, then there would be a problem.
Well, the big shows, if you look at the Arnold, it's usually pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So that was a heavy show. Worlds is a lighter show. It doesn't work out that way. I'll probably get crucified for this, but I think World's Strongest Man's become a track meet.
Yeah.
It's like
but it's in a good way, though, for those that are competing in all these. It does allow the training.
If you look at Giants Live, which is the circuit, or Strongman Champions League, or any of the other shows, like they're lighter, so you can do more shows. And I think that as a professional athlete to get paid, but you look, where's the biggest titles and biggest money? Here's these 4 shows. So I just call it the Strongman Grand Slam. So you got the Arnold, Worlds, Schmo, Rogue. What are they like? Arnold's is always it's the heavy package. Schmo or Worlds is a light package, speed package. Schmo is the, bring out the war machine. You better bring all the guns and pack all your ammo because it's just nasty.
Be prepared for an injury if you don't prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And Rogue is kind of like tweener. It's kind of somewhere in between. It just depends on when they pick the events. So I think what's hard is just maintaining conditioning, building strength, getting very specific for the events that are coming up. Like we're doing a lot more raw stones. And Trey's a great stone lifter, but like if there's a stone off in the prelims, so if he has to do that, he's prepared. But then he's also prepared for the stone run in the finals. In the prelims, there's a rep deadlift. In the finals, there's an 18-inch max deadlift. So we're concurrently. I usually do like an A week, B week. Thank you, Joe Ken. He kind of helped me with develop that, and so I want to make sure I give Joe the credit he has due. He's probably the greatest strength coach, one of the greatest strength coaches out there, and I. He's my coach and my friend. And
so when you say that, what I assume that you're saying is you're basically taking a 7-day microcycle and making it 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to look. You just got to keep. And then with Trey, it's his grip. So we got to work his grip, but not overwork his grip. And then you look at all these things. How do you rotate them throughout? So it's like if I had a whiteboard, I could probably whiteboard it easier, because it's like, it looks like a lot of diagrams all over the fucking place. But, we're constantly trying to make improvements and then pick the movement. What's going to lend to that movement to make it better, So it's like, and the crazy thing is with strongman, it's not like powerlifting. You got 3 movements. So where am I weak at in that move? Let's fix that. Strongman, there's like a dozen, but you've got to constantly, I think that's the hardest thing. You got to constantly, work all attributes, whether it's top end strength endurance, or across the board your conditioning.
Well, that's where the conjugated approach comes in. And
I think that's why conjugate is the best approach, because it's the easiest one to implement. Like all these other people talk, what do you think about periodization? Like, like standard periodization to me, depending on what you're training, what are you training for? Maybe. And I said, like in the speed school with our kids, I can't have a 12-week block because it's week 9, his first day. So how do I deal with him? So we keep that that's just very simple. We keep that simple. As far as my strength athletes, once we get the list of it, like hell, you don't even know the events half the time until like 8 weeks out.
Yeah.
Like Brian.
The 8 weeks out is generous, by the way.
Yeah. Like hell, we didn't get the World's events last year like 4 weeks out. How the hell do you train for a contest when you only have 4 weeks to prepare for it? And then you hammer it down. Now Brian put the events out, so we know the events for the Schmo. So people are like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, you think I'm not going to try to filter some of that stuff in even now? Because getting that bench press, you got to be doing some type of chest pressing. Now, strongman's more overhead.
Yeah.
We got to build in that chest press. A side handle max deadlift. We don't ever do that shit, but now we got to, so how do you continue? What's going to help him become better at that? At the same time, you got max stones. Well, the thing is, like, how many times do you want to go touch a 550-pound stone?
Rarely, if ever, unless you really, really want to.
Right, but then you're looking, how do you train for that? Well, you got to train heavier, but you got heavy, back off, heavier, back off, heavier, back off. So it's finding that fine line of technique, absolute strength. Technique, I mean, I look at this, like, we teach a kid. If I'm teaching you to lift, perfect the technique. The load's going to come. If we're teaching speed, learn the technique. The speed's going to come. Slow and right is right. Fast and wrong is wrong. But let's get slow and right eventually becomes fast and right. Same thing with the lifting. But like with higher level athletes, you still got to hone that technique down, and then work on stuff that's going to, like, what's going to make Trey better at pressing. I mean, you look at Lucas Hatton or Hooper. They're both very good technical Olympic lifters, so they can split jerk. there ain't no split jerk and tray. It's just raw ass power. But like we were training, I'm like looking at him and we're doing this press and his fucking tricep looks like my quad. He's just that big. And then his back, like we get his back bigger. How's he pull so much? Well, look at his back. You know, you got a 400-pound man doing chin-ups with 50 pounds strapped to him.
That's
also strong ass back.
The impressive part is realizing, because a lot of people saw Hooper overhead press with the split, right? And they're now trying to do that and get ready to do that when they've never done that before.
I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my friends over at Massonomics. I use their podcast a lot when vetting guests for the Table Talk podcast. I also listen to it a lot just because it cracks me up. Their YouTube channel is great. The podcast is on there, but they also have home gym reviews. Their apparel line is amazing. The standout products for me are these drink spotters. Rarely is it used for holding drinks. We have one on the monolift that holds the collars in between sets, smelling salts, chalk, whatever. You'd be surprised at how much crap you can put into one of these things. Their stall mat coasters they brought out last time they were on the podcast. These things are great. Check out their website, massonomics.com, as well as their podcast and YouTube channel.
That is like, they're trying to acquire a skill that they just seen someone perform successfully over a period of a few months, thinking that they'll get successful.
Which it's not enough time to perfect that skill.
Realizing that you have someone like Lucas that is strong statically the way he is, don't teach him something new that he doesn't know. Teach him what he does know, just make him better at it.
Right, make him better at it. Like, could Trey learn to split jerk? Or push jerk or power jerk? I'm sure he could. Yeah. He's so much raw power. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like you got a great pitcher with a goofy throwing mechanics. You don't fuck with it. You let him.
Yeah. If it works, it works.
Here's Trey. It's like I don't really have to fix a whole lot of anything. I mean, my biggest thing is let's just manage fatigue, manage the other shit that's going on in his life. You know, manage that, and he peaks well.
Well, that would be a question for the bigger guys that you're working with. Just the fact that they're bigger. And just walking around, they're accumulating fatigue just because they weigh over 350 some pounds. Yeah. Right. And the weights that they're lifting are going to accumulate more fatigue just because they're way heavier as compared to a middleweight strongman.
Yeah. Like 10,000 steps a day is not your 10,000.
Or a fullback or a CrossFitter, right? I mean, the load matters, you know, their body weight load and the implement load, you know, which is, you'll understand this because you went through the stupid shit that I did where you just do a whole lot of everything. Yeah. Right. But then you start to get stronger and you can't recover the same way just because you're bigger and the load's bigger. Right. But your brain thinks, I need to do what I used to do. Yeah. Right. But you can't. Right. Then you feel like you're a puss because you can't train as hard as what you used to do. Where the bigger and stronger somebody gets, the volume actually
has to decrease.
Yeah, but the workload might still be higher. Right. That's what they don't understand.
Right. You've got to. I think you got to manage fatigue and build strength. You know, and it's funny because I was actually listening to a podcast driving down here. I think you had Paul Carter, and it was like managing fatigue. You know. Getting strong and muscular hypertrophy, they do go hand in hand, but they can also be separated. And you look at elite athletes, how much bigger does Trey really need to be? Does he need to hypertrophy? No. Yes, there's places maybe for injury prevention, but like you got to get the most out of that body, you know? So it's like, how do you develop that? It's like it's that constant check-in. I mean, I think I use a web-based program called Train Heroics, so I can look at every athlete's programming every day and what are their notes. And I'm constantly, my phone's been buzzing off the hook since I've been here. I'm sure I've got athletes like, Coach, here's my video. Can you watch this? You know, what do I need to do different? But you look at that, then you just have to change. You kind of, I mean, I look at it like, as I was like, laugh because I make it football. You know, you walk up the line of scrimmage, you're the quarterback, there's 8 in the box, and we're running a dive. We're not running a dive with 8 in the box. We're going to audible out of this. So when you're looking at coaching someone, what's the audible today? So I said, we have to be able to audible. If you're on your own, I would say it's called auto regulation. You know, I feel like shit today. It's a max effort day. Like there's times like it's a max effort day and I'm supposed to hit this number. Okay, well I'm going to keep warming up and see where it's at. But if it's not there today, it's not there today. I mean that's the difference between 26 and 56. 56, well, you know what? It'll be there tomorrow. And I'll wait till next week and I'll see what I can get. Perfect example. Yesterday I got to the gym. I felt like shit because I had judged the show and I was on my feet. My knee was swollen. So I rode the bike. I flossed my knee. I warmed up really long, and then actually I hit an actual 25-pound better than the lift before. That was 10 days before. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. But it took me a lot longer to warm up to get there. And I said, that's like when you're dealing with an athlete, like when you get into the workout, what's your readiness? How do you feel when you get to the training session? Where are you at? How was your sleep? I think that's what everyone wants to look, what's the magic secrets? The magic secrets they're not magic and they're not secret. Did you sleep enough? Are you hydrated? Did you eat? Are you fueled? Did you recover? Now, if you come to the workout and you're not recovered, but it's still, okay, it's the workout day. I have to train it. Okay. Well, I make a modification to the workout. I can still get a workout. It might not be that 3-star platinum one, but I'm going to punch the clock and get a workout. And I think what people have to realize, like if you had 100 workouts, 20 of them were incredible, 20 of them sucked, and the other 60 were in the middle somewhere. But those are just punching the clock. And that's where champions are made, because when the really shitty ones, it pisses you off. These, you just kind of go through it, but you have to do them. When you get the great one, yeah, man, that was fucking dude.
Yeah.
But how often do those come?
You write about it, you post about it, you let everyone know how great it was.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they won't come if the 60% of the punching the clock aren't done.
Right. You have to hit those. And I think that's what people want, these incredible workouts, or they look at this influencer and every workout's a PR workout. No, it's fucking not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just saved that same day, and this kid is milking that same day, multiple posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or one piece of the day went really well, and all the rest of it was crap or normal. With your own competing, I want to kind of pull in Dr. McDougall here, right? Because you were N1.
Yes.
Where
I was the test monkey.
Where you were the test monkey, to where he developed a lot of his current philosophies based upon working with you, because
and all the athletes I had at the time. On that table.
Yeah, because a normal adjustment may not be what you needed.
Right.
And you would give him the feedback.
Yes.
So how was that process?
Horrible. Painful. I kind of laughed because I remember I've always used chiropractors. My parents always took me to a chiropractor. And I worked for a chiropractor in college, and it was a great dude. I owned a nutrition store. That's kind of how I got into the nutrition side of business, was just working for Dr. Thayer and getting adjusted and stuff. And then I just remember Todd would get adjusted. I was like, I saw him like, could you, and the way he says it, he goes, sprung. I don't know if I actually said the word sprung, but whatever. I go, is there a way you could adjust me so where I don't feel fucked up afterwards? I can go train. Well, yeah, let's work on that. So we brought his table, and he would literally there would be like 8 of us. He'd practice and shit, making shit up. Some of the stuff I get on the table now, it's like, where did that come up from? I just thought about it on something else. But it works. I mean, he's incredible at what he does. He's probably, I would say, the best at what he does. So it was very painful. Like, where did that one come? Oh, well, Doc did these 8 iterations before he got that good one, and the other one's fucking hurt. Away. It was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. It was very good, but rough. I remember one time I jacked my knee up somewhere, so I'm just eating ibuprofen like 800 milligrams 3 times a day for like 8 weeks. Like, I'm like, my fucking knee hurts, but it's a long season. I've got to finish the season. Hey, Doc, can you adjust the knee? He goes, yeah, jump on the table. And my fibula was out. And he fucking adjusts my fibula. And it's like, I screamed so loud, like, oh my God. Like, there's times, like, he used to be pretty fast, because I'd take cuts out and shit. I try to hit him. But he adjusted my knee. I was like, and I stood up off the table. I'm like, what the fuck, man? That was great. And it was funny. So it was at the Shaw in 22 or 21. No, it was 21. We're in Estes. And I had jacked my foot up, and I'd gone to podiatrist, and they'd x-rayed it. It's like, you have a bone spur, and, if it doesn't get better. So I had to change my shoes. I couldn't use my Ollie shoes anymore to Olympic lift. And I changed my shoe. I had to change to a flat-soled shoe. It was wide toe box because it hurt my foot. I said, Doc, can you adjust this? He looked at my foot. Oh, my God. How'd you do your foot? Get on the table. He adjusted. I stood up off the table. I've been in pain for 9 months. I stood up off the table. What the hell? My foot was fine. I went for a 5-mile walk the next day in Estes with Van Hatfield. We went for a hike. 5 miles. I hadn't been able to do that because my foot hurt so bad. I hate to say it, but it's like, he kind of does work some miracles and shit. I mean, just adjusting people, like, wow.
Sometimes, especially with him, like you see the kind of stuff that he does and fixes, and you're like, there's no way. Like I had trouble believing it until he worked on me. I'm like, okay, fine. Like I get it now. Like I can't argue against it anymore.
No, but
him specifically.
Yeah. Him specifically.
Yeah.
He's taught a couple of his guys the technique, so I definitely think that's helping spread it. But yeah, being patient zero was not a lot of fun. Not gonna lie.
Well, what I wonder is, with a lot of those things, is it mitigating or is it fixing? Right? Because
I'm going to say yes.
So both.
Because I think it mitigates it at the time, but over time he can fix it.
Yeah.
Now, when I lived in Indiana, I got adjusted all the time. Now I just won't get adjusted. I will literally. I've driven to Indianapolis to get adjusted before. Mm-hmm. You know, so I just want, if you can have him work on you regularly, it's kind of magical. You know, so like if you're in Indiana, you can go down and see the guy like once a week. Like I would spend the money because you just can't. It's kind of like just you're going to the mechanic to tune your car up. I mean, it's nice. You're all tuned up. You're ready to go.
All right, getting to the kids. How did you get? Were you working with the kids before PARISI?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we opened the gym in '95. So I would not have been, I wasn't quite that old. I was like 26, 27. And anytime a kid would come in the gym and want trained, like I still had a job and we owned the gym. And whenever a kid would come in, it's like I would find a way to train the kid because I just think about what I didn't know or what coaches don't know. And I just wanted to give back. I wanted to help something. Like you got a dream to play college sports. You know, how do you have a plan? Most people, that's my dream. Well, dreams require a plan, then you have a goal, and then you set many goals, and you just chip it away till you get there. How do you know you can make it or you can't make it? You don't. Now, a lot of people say, well, you're either born a D1 athlete or not. Like, dude, no, that's not the case. You know, I think you can really train kids and make a difference, and you can make a difference, but they have to be D1 athletes. I mean, 7% of all high school kids are going past high school. Okay, how many of those are D1? Anybody who plays collegiately, you played in college, man. That's a big deal. It's a huge deal. And I look at that. So I just want to give kids that opportunity that I didn't feel like I didn't have. You know, and I love my coaches in high school. They were great men, and they really helped forge who I am. But they didn't know jack about training. And actually I laughed because I knew more about training than they did. And here I'm reading the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding and Muscle and Fitness, which was horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Not about It's not about building a better athlete. I was a meathead bodybuilder. I mean, I had my pecs looked great, my caps, my trite, whatever, but I wasn't a better athlete. As I learned how to train a better athlete, then anytime I'd see a kid, I was like, I would just find a way to train. I didn't really care about the money. And I just want to help kids develop to live that dream. And then as my kids got older, we had the gym and I still kept my job. So I still worked. I worked in the nutrition industry. So I worked in that till 2003. Then when I came in full time to my business to actually train people. But anytime kids would come in, I would just find a way of training them. I mean, I trained some really cool kids. And then you look at, as my kids got older, I was seeing such a disparity of what was happening. You know, I applaud parents that want to help. They want to come out and they're going to coach. But like I coach for a living, and I always have. And I look at it like I can assess where my kid's at. Like, and I always looked at it like parents would go I'm going to be the head coach so my daughter can be the pitcher. Your daughter sucks. But you're making her the fucking pitcher. Do you think you're doing your kid any favors? Because my kids were sitting here, they'd say the same thing. Like, here's the deal. If I'm your coach, you keep what you kill. If you didn't earn it, I'm not helping you. Because that's not how the world works. The world's a pretty brutal place, and you need to learn how to take care of your own shit.
That's a pretty good life skill right there.
You teach them that. So it's like, I'm not going to help you. My son, specifically my oldest son, would like, Dad, why won't you put a good word? I was like, I'm not the coach. Or when I coached him, and he was my linebacker for like 3 years until we went to another level and had different linebackers. Like, well, I'm not the starting linebacker. You're not. And well, Reese, you're not good enough. What the hell Dad? I'm like, Dad, dude. I said, for my kids, it's always this. We're on the field as coach. When we get in the car, it's Dad. Okay. Or if you need coach time, you ask coach question, but don't ask the dad question to a coach. So, because when I walk on that field, I have one job to do. That's to develop this team the best of my ability to their ability. And I look at when you teach kids that, you teach them accountability, that you're in charge of it. Then and right now, do I have to worry about my children? No. I mean, my 20-year-old just packed his shit up. He's moving to Colorado, quit his job, found a place to live, found a new job, rented a U-Haul, like didn't call dad once. I talked to him yesterday. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I rented a U-Haul. I've got my motorcycle in it. I'm carrying the car carriers behind it. I got all my shit in it. And I'm like, I know he doesn't have that much, but he's got a motorcycle and a car. But he's doing it. Why? Because I think he had to hold himself accountable. Now, I love you, Max, but you're still a dipshit. But that's our kids. They're boys. So we give that with the territory. But teaching kids that, I think that's the number one thing. And so whenever kids would come in, and then I started seeing what my daughter wasn't getting, because she was older, and then I started looking. And Thomas Plummer was my consultant, so I would be going to trade shows and stuff, and symposiums and summits to try to learn how to be a better gym owner, how to be a better coach. I mean, for me, from a coaching standpoint, I've gotten a certification every year since 1990. Every year I've spent money on education because I think it's important to learn. I listen to podcasts, I read books. Or actually remind me, because I brought you a book because I left it out in the car. I apologize for that. I brought you a fascial book from Bill. I think it's fascinating. It's cool stuff. I think it's a solid read. Good for the bathroom. You can go through it. You'll have it done in like a month or so.
Is it the one that he released a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
I have that.
Oh, you have
a copy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had one, and I just, I'm going to give this.
Yeah, I talked to him when he was putting that thing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, it's a good read.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But as I saw that with my daughter, I talked to Tom. He's like, well, you should look at PARISI. And at the time, that was when, for pure acceleration, they're out of the Dakotas, which is now called Athletic Republic. And then there was Velocity. So I looked at all those models, and I kind of came with Bill. I really liked Bill's model because it wasn't a standalone. It was an add-on. Because all those others, like, you need to have a box. It's 10,000 square feet. And you have to just train kids between the hours of 3 and 8 o'clock. And I was like, how the hell am I going to make money? Because I'm still a businessman. I got to make money. That's how I pay the bills, how I put my kids through college. So we looked at PARISI and just bolted it onto the gym. It became a program within the gym. And that's how I got involved with PARISI. And I think sometimes, like, when you find out your real purpose in life, it's kind of like that epiphany moment. I've been training, but I hadn't trained. I train in adults. I train kids, but then when we opened PARISI, and now you're training kids on a mass scale, it really just flipped in my mind where, oh my God, I found what I'm supposed to do with my life.
What year was that?
It was 2006.
I think I went to right after he put all that together, and it was like a 2-day course. Yeah. If I remember. I went through that course because at the time, I think I was trying to integrate in, our equipment into his box or whatever it was going to be. And I remember sitting through the course because before that we'd have like SAQ clinics and, some of the other things that you're talking about, which were standalone type of things. And it was a thick-ass manual. It was like 3 thick-ass manuals. But what impressed me with what he was presenting through that is there were business sectors. Right. It was all integrated. Right. And I knew when I'm like, you have something here. Yes.
All the training. And I would say this now, and coming full circle from buying the 13th franchise. Yeah. So now we've got over 130 locations to later mastering the content and becoming a master coach and an educator, and then coming to this side of business development. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a good salesman. I listen to what you need, and we have a product. Does it fit? So I always say this, I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to beat you up on sales. I'm not going to try. I'm not the used car guy. Like, I'm just like, hey, Dave, you want to train kids? You like kids? You want to train kids? Hey, guess what? We train kids. We have a whole system. We have a training system and a business system. I can teach you. I mean, again, that's why I say for most people, if you want to make money, which we have to, because this is a capitalist society.
What's how you pay your bills?
That's how you pay your bills. And I always say, if I could pay my bills with my good looks, I'd probably be destitute, living under a bridge. But, when you look at it, like, I want to make money, there's nothing wrong with making money. Okay. If you have a good product, if you have a solid product, if you're doing it for the right reasons. I look at that. So if I can help someone learn how to train kids, but then how to monetize that to pay your bills, it's a great business. And how bad is it? Like, you get to see sweaty, smiling kids walking on your door that just learns shit that's going to make them a better human being. I think that's the most important. So yes, when I'm training kids, I do not use colorful language. So I just tell that up front. Yeah. Otherwise we're here. So I don't care. But like when you're training kids, I don't cuss.
So what have you seen since you started training to kids now from the work ethic standpoint? And I kind of know what the default answer is, but let me put a little more context here. Is because we're older, right? We're going to have biased approaches based upon how we did everything, right? And so we're going to look at social media and hate social media, but forget the fact that we didn't.
100%.
Yeah, but we forget the fact that these kids today, that's all they're growing up with. So that would be like us saying, the people that were looking at us saying, you're reading magazines, that's a waste of time. You shouldn't read the magazines, because you should do it the way that I did it, where all I did was go to a gym with a bunch of sweaty fuckers and just learned how to train heavy, so it kind of stacks upon itself. But the flip side, so you got to kind of remember our bias, right? So you got to remember that. But the flip side of that is, and this is kind of how I look at it, is assuming this is all true, and 80% of the kids that want to be in athletics that are under 12th grade are lazy, right? But when we grew up, it was only 40%.
Right.
You have less people to compete with if you're the outlier. Like if you're the kid that's going to go and invest in their health and fitness and really gives a shit about the sport, do you have to be the genetic freak to make it to the next level? If most of your competitors that are the genetic freaks are on a couch eating Doritos, playing video games, scrolling through TikTok. What an opportunity for the kids that want to put forth the effort.
And the thing that they see not only in their athletics, but their academics and the other parts of their life. Because I think at the end of the day, it's the PARISI Speed School, dude. I'm going to make your kid faster. I'm going to make them less likely to get hurt. But what I want to teach them is, how do we teach how to be a good human being? And I think that's infinitely more important than being a good athlete.
So my question would be, because the people who are going to come in are going to be a select segment. Otherwise, they're not going to come in, right? There's going to be the ones that just won't. So they're already kind of being pre-selected to a degree. When they come in.
Because they want to get better.
Yeah. So how has that changed over the time that you've been working with kids, of what they come in at on day one?
Again, because I kind of ground level up, I start with some basic stuff. Just we'll kind of go from basic up. So it's like, for us, we have 4 pillars. I use 4 pillars, and it's respect, coachability, work ethic, and effort. Respect is simple. It's yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and please ma'am, thank you. If you can't speak like that, then you have no business being in this program. And I have no problem sending a kid home. If you can't be respectful, I don't need you here, because that's going to transfer over every part of your life. Okay, being coachable, that's just the ability to listen. Okay, if a coach is talking, eye contact. Kids don't do that anymore. So you have to teach them. And again, they're so teachable. You can teach them anything, And then you look at work ethic. And to me, I tell kids work ethic. Be the first one and be the last one out. Someone's going to nose. Be the first one. Be the first to practice. Be the last one to leave the field. Okay, and lastly, effort. I'm not the coach to give me 110% because that's bullshit. On your best day, you get 100%. What I want you to understand is how to give 100% of what you have.
Are you looking to extend your career in the gym? It's one of the questions that I'm asked most frequently. I'm Dave Tate from elitefts. When it comes to longevity in the gym, I look no further than the support gear that you're using. By support gear, this is one of our custom-made blockers, by the way, strength equipment, elitefts.com. I know a little bit about it. I've been doing this for 4 decades. So wrist wraps, straps, belts, knee wraps. There's so many different types of support wear out there that where we can help you the most is we only provide the stuff that's the best. So if you're looking to extend your longevity in the gym, head over to elitefts.com, top toolbar, power gear, hamburger blowout, power gear.
Okay, if you're at 40%, I need all of it. And once you start teaching kids that, and when kids come in, they're pretty raw, and you start teaching that, and then they start learning that. They start to take that behavior, and it's like, pass that to everything else. Okay, you go to the classroom, sit in the front of the room, ask questions, be that annoying guy, You're going to, and you do that. So, and you're respectful, you're coachable, you have work ethic and effort. That gives you what in life, which is called favor. Okay. If there's 2 guys coming for the team and I only get to keep one, but the guy who's yes sir, no sir, he's early to practice, he works his tail off, he gives me effort, and then the other guy's is probably athletically better, but he's a jackwagon and he's always late. Like, who's going to get at the long run? I only get to keep one. Or better yet, guys, later in 3 years when you're out of high school and you have a job, and work ethic man and non-work ethic man, who keeps the job when the boss has to fire somebody? So I want to teach those skill sets. But then when you come back, you ask, how have kids changed? They're a little softer. There's not as much grit, but I think grit can be taught. Now, there's some kids that we know, you punch them in the mouth and they're like,
yeah,
all right, let's party. Hope you're part of lunch because I'm here. But I think you can teach that. I think you can really teach that through training, and especially for us, the tail end of training, which is challenges and getting kids to get outside their comfort zone. I was like, Martin Rooney's always say, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, I want to be so comfortable being uncomfortable when I feel like I'm going to die. Like, this is no big deal. I've been here before. And I think what happens in kids in sports when they get to that point, if they've never been there, that's when they crack and they fail. Like for us, we constantly are teaching that, constantly teaching how to push, constantly teaching how to find a little bit more in the tank. And I think when you do that, when they go back, like you said, you take that 5 and you make them a 7.5, and now they're competing with the natural 8. That's where magic happens. Now you take the kids that are genetically blessed, that have work ethic. I mean, I laugh because like people, how many? I've had over 178 athletes go D1. 500 athletes playing collegiately. I've had numerous athletes go to pros. Well, what's the difference? I said, well, the kids that 9 times out of 10, it's their work ethic and their consistency, and that's what I've always preached: be consistent and give me your best effort. And show up. I mean, those 60%, I got a lot of those kids that are 60%ers that when they show up in 60%, they're not real happy it's a 60% session. They're not satisfied. I think what happens now, and you hit it around the head, this generation is different. So I've been coaching coaches and coaching coaches and coaching coaches, coach kids. Like, I've had a lot of generations of kids that have been kids and then become coaches. I realized really early on that, this is a phone generation, totally different. And you have to hit it, you have to connect with them totally different. Now, they're just kids. And I think the beauty of me, as far as being a coach, being a father makes you an infinitely better coach because you got a little bit more patience. You have to. Now, they're other people's kids, but you didn't raise them. So now you've got to teach them some stuff, milk their effort out. And I think when kids first start, I think about when I first started coaching kids, really specific, a bunch of kids from Tipton High School in Indiana. They're just hard-nosed farm kids. They were farmers. They worked. I didn't have to teach them anything about work ethic. They showed the hell up. And then it was just teaching technique. Now you take kids that don't have work ethic, or they've got everything. How hard do they really want to work? Like, I won't mention her name, but I have an incredibly gifted female athlete from Missouri who is probably one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen in my life, but has zero work ethic. She could probably go to the Olympics. She's that gifted. And then genetically, like, you look at her, she's like one giant, she's like the perfect mesomorph. I mean, thigh sweeps, hamstrings. I mean, chick does like 10 chin-ups, man. Like, is that good? Like, with no effort. But how far is she going to go? Probably never anywhere, So I think I think you still got the tough-nosed kids. There's just not as many of them.
How young do you get them coming in?
We start them, Pee Wee for us is 4 to 6. And that's really game-based. It's really play-based. So like you're playing games with like word games.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is, and like you're teaching them how to communicate, but then we're going to play this game. And that's Pee Wee's. And then our Jumpstart program starts at 7. So 7 to 10. Now we do some
obstacle courses or something like that.
What's that? Like
obstacle courses or something like that, or
with the kid, with the game stuff with the Pee Wee.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of games. Like, you do chase games, you do word games, you do card games, you do tic-tac-toe. You're playing games.
Keeping it fun and active.
Moving,
okay.
But we're teaching them, like, okay, here's acceleration. Here's the focal points of acceleration. And now the kid goes out and runs. And then they come back. So they start to learn that stuff. And then you look at the Jumpstart is where we start to do some strength training. Okay, and oh my God, you strength train children? Yes, you can strength train children. Actually, you send your kid out with his 20-pound backpack and he weighs 30 pounds. You just had him. He's strength training right now. You just didn't realize it, and he's carrying groceries. We just teach them how to squat, how to lunge, how to chin up, we do a lot of TRX suspension training. You use a lot of bands. You're just teaching proper movement patterns. From a strength training standpoint, and then from a movement standpoint, just give them movement literacy of how to move this way and multi-directional. And then you're just starting to teach that. That's that Jumpstart kid, and those kids are going to come 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 months at a time. Now you progress into that 11 to 14, that's the middle schoolish kids. So now we're starting to give them a little bit more strength training and teaching them how to lift real weights. And then you're further enhancing their movement patterns.
Now, in the youngest category, are you building in things for visual acuity, balance, gymnastics type of things?
Proprioception.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the developmental blocks, of young athletes.
Those peewee kids, it's just getting them out moving, having fun. They have there's lots of games, lots and lots of games. It's great because Catalin and Lizzie from PAL, which is a PARISI in Chicago, they developed it all for kids. They got a huge little kid program. So they've developed it all for those children. And it's just it's awesome when you see the kids and just how they respond. They're just smiling, having fun and sweating.
Yeah.
They're learning to enjoy the physical.
Right. They're learning to be, yes. So like when we look at Jumpstart or Total Performance, every running session will always end with a challenge. Or I like to end it with, you can end it with whatever, with stretching or whatever, but I like it with a challenge because it teaches kids to compete. But now, we just worked on acceleration. So the definition of acceleration is the ability to reach maximum speed in the shortest distance or time possible. And then here's your focal points. Well, when you start playing a game like you're running, the effort might not be there. Now you gamify it. I got to race Dave. I'm going to whip Dave's ass. And the kids just run faster. And now you come back now from a mechanical standpoint, what did you do? Then they start
everything they just learned. They put it
they put it in gamification. And then what they do is when they come back, they start to get it better because now they understand. Like we do a lot of chase games. Okay, well, we call it cat and mouse. So you line up, what's a sprint game? So you have 25 yards to catch your partner. Okay, the minute he moves, you got to react. Okay, so now I have to chase him down and touch him. Okay, well, what's acceleration? The ability to reach maximum speed in the shortest distance or time possible. You got 25 yards. Now, here's the thing. I always like this. I think getting eaten would be a really bad way to die.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get eaten. And I think starving would be an equally bad way to die. So you as the cat have to catch the mouse or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. But the kids, then they have fun. So you just beat the crap out of them. You've taught them all this stuff. When then they game and they're putting more maximum effort. But what are they doing? They're smiling and they're sweating and smiling. So they walk off, you finish the session, you close it out, you go over the definition, you break it out, and what do? They come back to see mom, dad, and they're sweating and smiling.
Guess what I did? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Or then the best part, then they're teaching their little brother. So I've got so many siblings that have taught their little brothers stuff. They end up becoming the best coaches, So I really recruit my coaches from our athletes. And they become, because they're great athletes, they've learned it. I've got 6 years worth of training into a guy. And one of my kids, his name's Andy Cialini. He's actually graduated high school, incredible athlete. At the summit 2 years ago, USA bobsled was there. I mean, do you know anything about bobsled or skeleton or anything? Hell, I don't know anything. I've seen it in the Olympics. I think that's cool. But Andy goes to a combine, and now Andy's he's out there sliding in skeleton. He was the rookie of the year out in Ogden, and he'd never heard of it until 23, so you can take these athletes, and he's the hardest training athlete I've ever had. I mean, Andy doesn't miss workouts. Andy trains hard. Andy keeps notes. Andy dials his nutrition. Andy gets sleep. Andy does everything perfect. I mean, unfortunately, God just made him 5'7", but he's a hell of he runs a 4.45 laser. That's blazing. He has a 38-inch vertical. He has an 11-foot prod jump.
What's interesting is that what you were just saying with all the chase games and stuff, you've pretty much taught the kids to enjoy and how to actually be a quarterback, a batter, a tennis player, any of these sports that require all that. You've taught them how to be all those potential sports and athletes that they could unlock, could become, just by learning these skills early.
If you're bottom line is this, people, could you make my son a better football player? I can make him a better athlete. It's up to your coach to make him a better football player. Yeah. But if you're a better athlete, I've never had a coach, Dave, I'd really love to have your son, but he's just too damn fast. We don't have a spot for a fast kid. That's never been said ever. So if you can help those kids get better, and I look at every kid, how many kids can go on past high school? Well, the statistics are there. But I think the statistics are a little skewed. Kids that tend to train kind of make it because they start to learn what it takes. And I think from a hiring standpoint, I was laughing. I saw this on Instagram this morning. It was the guy was like, if you're going to hire people, hire athletes. And I've been hiring athletes since the day I started hiring people. If you came across two equal, and you were a college athlete, you weren't, guess what does he know? He already knows time management. He already knows work ethic. He already knows teamwork. I don't have to teach that stuff because he was there. And again, I will say this: I've hired athletes all my life, and I've never regretted. Not that I didn't hire non-athletes, because I have. I tend to hire the best person for the job. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, that is an athlete. Why? Because they've already learned all the stuff that they need to learn to become very successful.
So if you had kids from 7 to 17?
Yeah.
And what's the difference with that? Because that's over 2 quadrennials. I mean, that's kind of like a Soviet sports system, but better.
But you look at, you're just developing these kids over time, and then where do they want to go? You know, people are like, are you so proud of your athletes? Like, yeah, you know what I'm proud of? The doctors, the lawyers, the business people, the successful coaches that have came through my coaching tree. You know, yeah, I got the professional athletes. Great. That's awesome. But how many doctors have I trained that would come back and say, you know what, coach, I learned this in PARISI. And I laugh because my kids are always, when I see their kids and their friends, they're like, you know, what's your favorite thing about high school, Dave? And I'll go, hey, Dave, what's your favorite? They go, PARISI. I'm like, PARISI was the best thing you had in high school? Like, I'm sitting there going, wow. Like, that says a lot because you're building into them. They wanted that. And I think when you have a coach that cares, and I think that's one thing that we teach as PARISI is how to coach, how to be a positive coach, how to be a positive influence on these kids, you know. And coaching can be, you don't know who Bobby Knight is, but you know Bobby Knight. So, sorry, he's a basketball coach from Indiana. Okay. He screamed and yelled. We can say he's one of the greatest basketball coaches ever, but do you want that as your coach? You know, now there's some kids that need that.
Yeah, maybe.
But you as a coach have to realize that. There's kids that I would grab their face mask and, you know, and then there's coach, you can't do that to that kid because they're not, and then you train female athletes. I very rarely had a female athletes like you get up in their ass and start yelling at them. They're just going to cry, you know, but you have to learn how do you motivate that person, you know, and then how do you get them to deliver the performance they want, you know? So I think it's just a fine line. You know, I think it's every kid's a little bit different. I will say kids are a little softer now than they used to be. They just don't work. You know, I mean, we grew up baling hay and detasseling corn and shit. That was nasty work. No one wants to do that nasty work now. You know,
that's what's kept me out of strongman my whole entire life. Is I was just like, this is manual labor shit, man. I spent my whole life trying to get out of doing shit like that.
No, I just don't. I always say, this body's made for high performance. It's not made for manual labor.
But have you tried to do it faster though?
No.
Has anyone challenged you doing this manual labor?
Yes. I always wanted to get it done faster just to get it done.
There you go.
Right. So I could go do the other shit.
Do the other shit that you want.
Yeah. So I could go lift weights and do things I really wanted.
How many bales of hay? If I get this done, I can still get to the gym.
Yeah.
And I just, not that that's bad. It's just, I hate to say it, but I've always just put a premium on there's non-negotiable here. There's some shit that's non-negotiable for me. I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I've got a broken leg. I don't care. I had my knee surgery. I went to the gym. You know, my shoulder's fucked up. I found a way to train around it. I trained one arm.
I mean, that was my childhood. I started martial arts super early. So like I learned to continue training, whether I have a broken finger, a broken arm, leg or something. And I was forced to train because I had to. That's what I did. And then I went into rugby. Same thing. Broken nose, broken fingers. You just keep going. You train. And that was a big part of it, that like I'm seeing kids start being powerlifters or athletes now without ever being an athlete before that in school or anywhere. And they don't have that work ethic, that drive, any foundation to begin with.
Or when things get tough, they just quit.
Yeah. And so many times somebody joined me in training.
I grew up, my parents were both factory workers and my mom was pretty hard. So I'll tell this story because everyone gets a kick out of it. I wanted to play football, and she took me out. I was the youngest of 5, so you can imagine where that was at. So I wanted to play football, so I went out to play football for the YMCA, and I played flag. And they asked me politely, please don't play flag next year. Go to POW. and play tackle. So I was like, okay, I guess I got the mitt. I was too rough. So I went, I got drafted. I got drafted by the Tribune Packers. And I was a Green Bay Packers fan. So I'm going to I'm a Packer, man. Like I watched the Green Bay Packers, and they sucked at the time. I loved it. But I became a Packer. And I went to practice, and there was two kids. There was Rob Patchett and Pat Christie, and they were both 12 years old. I was 10 years old, and they were like, these guys were shaving at the time. They were freaking huge. And I remember the very first practice. So like, I didn't know where I was playing. They put me at middle linebacker. These guys just smashed my ass play after play after play. I come walking off. My mom, to put it in perspective, my mom was the first woman as a tool and die maker in GM history in 1964. So this is like 1979. Okay, so she works with 30 dudes. Yeah. So you can imagine
hard work.
Not the hard work, hard environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hard environment.
Hard environment. So I come walking off. She goes, "What do you?" I'm like, she goes, "What is wrong with you?" I go, "Well," and I start crying. She goes, "Don't be a cunt. Get in the car." So I got in the car and I quit like crying. Because that's what she told me. You quit your crying right now. You asked to do this, quit your crying. And I learned one thing, like from my parents, I'll say this, my mom, my dad. Quitting was never an option. If you started, you finished it. So don't quit. There was no quitting. Quitting wasn't. I kind of laughed because then my high school football coach, like, whether it's the fourth quarter and we're up 100 points or down 100 points, Chad's going to hit you regardless. He never quit. So I kind of embodied that. Like that became, you can't quit, and I laugh because if you see it, like, DBAC, you'll see me hashtag DBAC, because usually if I'm having one of those days, I just think about my mom. And then my mom passed in 2016, about a week before Nationals. So I went to Nationals and I actually did the contest. I didn't want to do the contest, but all I could think of was my mom would be like, "You don't quit, Chad. You don't quit." So I went and did Nationals. Now I cried a lot. I had a lot of support. I will say this, the Strongman community is incredible, because there was 300 people there and they all come up and give me a hug, and it was kind of cool. Like, not quitting becomes, and when you teach kids to not quit, like, the harder you train, the harder it is to quit. So like, when you look at that, if you teach a kid to train hard, put everything into it, how far are you going to get? I have no idea. Are you going to make the pro ranks? I don't know. How far are you going to get? You're pretty damn successful.
But you've done all this work.
Right.
Now you're going to quit? No, that's...
Well, either way, you're going to get further than if you quit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Right. Yeah. And it's cool. You get to see stuff. One of my kids, he plays, his name's Jalen Logan Redding. He plays at Minnesota. And he had a pic, it's on a story, and I saw he had an elbow brace, so I messaged him, "Dude, what's up with the elbow brace?" "Oh, I'm going to have surgery after spring ball." I'm like, "What happened?" "Oh, it's like 4 weeks. I'll be fine." This is a kid who, when he walked in my gym, and his mom had researched PARISI. The coaches said if he was a little bit faster, he'd probably get a scholarship. He walks in the gym, and I'm looking at him. This kid's like 15 years old. He's like 6'6", 220, with a like his wingspan is like 89 inches. Like, it's like, and he kind of walks like a cat, like a jungle cat. When he comes walking, I was like, oh my God. And I did his eval, and I told his mom, I said, "Look, I've been doing this for a long time. Your son could play professional sports if we can get him fast enough and strong enough and be healthy enough, because he's just the most respectful kid." Like, I literally, like, I train a lot of kids, and it's funny because anymore it's like, they call me dad or grandpa, or I walk out of the room and it's, "I love you." I mean, that's a cultural thing. I think we've always tried to do that. Now, he ended up he's going to Minnesota, and it was funny because last year when they went to a bowl game, so for Christmas in, we've been 23, before 24, he gave me his bowl jersey and wrote on the back. And I was like, oh my God. And then Minnesota was playing Michigan, and I'm living in Michigan now. So he got me tickets. So I go to the game, and then I see all this, and like, that's just a good kid. And I see his picture, and it's his I call it the last of the last. It's his last spring, going into his last season. But I look like, I will say this. I mean, I don't care what the kid ends up doing. He's going to be great at it, just because he's learned those 4 pillars, and he applies them, and he cares, and he's just a great kid. And is he going to make the NFL? He could. He was all conference. He was honorable mention all conference this year in the Big Ten. Could he make the league? He could. If he doesn't, am I really worried? No, he's going to be successful whatever he does. He's going to be incredible whatever he does.
Well, that's a whole other part of this whole process that you're talking about, is they're also learning how to fail.
Right.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we don't do that enough.
Yeah.
Like we do the challenges, but we compete. So what we teach is when we compete, we're all competing and we'll team it up. I try to make it close teams. If we're doing sprints or relays, or we try to do something, how we'll do dodgeball. We just like to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the kids have fun. And when and I said this, life, there's winners and there's losers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in participation trophies. There's the champion, there's everybody else. And then what we get done, okay, number one, what do our winners do? They thank the opponent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gracious winners. How you treat people is probably to me the most important thing. And then, okay, you lost. Why did you lose? So my kids will then diagnose what they did. Because I don't want to hear about it's the ref's fault, it's the coach's fault, my mom didn't do this or whatever. What did you do? When you start to hold kids accountable for what did they do, and they actually can articulate it, then they can actually fix it. Until then, they can't. And I want them to be able to deal with their own problems. What could you have done better? Well, coach, my hockey stuff was bad, or I didn't put forth the effort, or I stood up, or, when my acceleration, I did a false step. I'm like, okay, can you fix that, Dave? And you're like, yeah, I can fix that. Okay, that's how kids get better. And I think when you start to teach them that stuff, and we can, like at the end of every session, it's always a competition. There's a winner. There's just something about winning that's kind of special that our society's like, oh no, everyone's a champion. No, they're fucking not.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fundamental life skill because you're going to fail way more in life than you're going to succeed.
But if you can't teach a kid to fail at 7, okay, these miniature failures that you have to learn to deal with get you prepared for, grandma died when you were 13. That sucks because mine did. Okay. But if I hadn't lost in athletics, I think it would have been horrible. Even worse. But we teach kids how to take a loss. Dude, I don't want to fucking lose anything. We play checkers. I want to kick your ass. I want to win at everything I do. But you know what? When I lose, why did I lose? And I think when kids start to realize why did you lose, then they can actually fix it. Is it an effort thing? Is it a technique thing? What is it? I'm just not fast enough. Well, can we fix that? Can we get faster? Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at the stuff like that, that's what you're trying to teach these kids, the intangibles of sports performance training. And what we do is really teaching them to take these attributes past sports, take them to the classroom. Are you putting forth? And I always say this, guys, notice it's student athlete. My expectation is you're getting your grades. And I've sent kids home that aren't getting their grades. Mom said they didn't do their homework. Okay, sorry, Dave, can't train today. What do you mean I can't train today? Well, you didn't do your homework. And that shit's way more important than this. Get that done. And then I have kids that go, here's my report card. I got A's. Or when they come I had a teacher came into the gym once to ask me, what are you teaching these kids? And I'm like, oh my God, did I do something wrong? That's what I was thinking. And she goes, and she took the athlete and she goes, I'm always preaching this stuff, but her grades started getting better. And I asked her, what was the difference? She goes, well, Coach Chad said that if you're capable of an A and you don't deliver an A, then you're just wasting the talent you were given. And so I figured I better start doing the work and get the grade that I was capable of. And the teacher was like, can you come teach that to my whole class? Lady, I'll come anywhere I can to talk to kids because I think if we look at our greatest commodity, it's our children. And who's coaching your kids? And I always laugh because people go, well, the football coach, he's the strength coach. I'm like, okay, hey, Dave, what do you teach? Oh, you teach math. So you're a math teacher. Yeah, I took math in college, and I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night and watched some math stuff on TV. It doesn't make me a math teacher, does it? He goes, no. I said, it doesn't make you a strength coach either or a sports performance coach. This is my profession. Don't insult me to say that you do what I do because you fucking don't. And I think that's when I was younger, I couldn't say that. As I've gotten older, I just don't give a shit. I think when you get 50s, you also like fuck. You just don't care.
Yeah. And what are the differences that you've seen in your coaches then over this time period?
They're softer. And I will say this. I always have to reiterate this to all our kids, all of our coaches that coach kids. They are not my friend. You are not. If you're my athlete, you're not my friend. Okay, I have a very stringent policy. It's Coach Chad. It's Coach Coy. It's Coach. You have not earned the right to use my first name. Don't use it. When you move out of your parents' house, you can call me Chad. When you're a grown-ass adult paying your way, you can call me Chad. Till then, it's Coach Coy. I'll even answer Mr. Coy. I start looking for my dad, but I'll have to straight. But that's always my rule. And then kids, the younger coach is like, oh, just call me my nickname. And it's like, no. No, you're not. You have to understand, you're not their friend. You're their coach. There's a difference. I said, can you become their friend over time? I've got athletes that are now out of the program that I would say they're my friend, but they were my athlete first. And when I laugh, they still call me coach. I mean, I've got 50-year-old men calling me, like I was 24 when they were 18, they're calling me coach, you know? But I think that's a respect thing. When you teach respect, you get it. That's if you want to be respected, give respect. And I think those attributes you're teaching. So with the younger coaches, you just have to teach them how to connect and then how to modulate the training. I will say, like, I've had a couple of coaches that were my athletes that this changed their life. Then when they became coaches and they're coaching kids and they're so serious, like this is going to change. Like they're just so intense. Like they're 13 years old. We don't need to scream at them, and we don't need to, like, this isn't the end all. They're not where you're at. You know, you're 23 now and you've learned these lessons, but you want to help. I said, but how do you meter it? And just getting kids to meter that and getting kids, like, they're kids. Like I always laugh, like you're the little ones, you're standing over looking down. It's like, guys, just drop down to a knee. Like I get down on a knee and then they're the same height. And like a lot of them think like I'm a jungle gym and like they hug them. Like I always laugh because people like, they look at me and go, you're a giant ogre and you look like shit. And all the kids like, he's the biggest teddy bear on the planet. And like, I just love the kids. And if you just love the kids and treat them right and ask for more. I mean, I want to draw the best performance out of them. And how do you do that? Just ask them for it. Hey, Dave, you think you can give me a little bit more effort on this? Yeah, coach, I got that covered. I got that. So then they do. I go, how'd that feel? Well, what's better? Okay, can you what was the difference? He goes, I chose. Oh, who did? Did the coach choose? Did mom and dad choose? Did the ref choose? No, you chose. You chose to put forth the effort. So can you ratchet that up every time? When you start to teach that to the kids and then also your coaches. Because I look at this. You get these kids for an hour a day. And I don't know what their day's like. I don't know what they had at school. I don't know what their home life's like. I don't know what they had for breakfast. I don't know what they had for lunch. There's all shit in their shoe and they stepped in. I don't know. They had a bad day. When they get there, our job for that hour is to make that the best hour of their day. And that's, I mean, how hard is a high five? You know, how hard is, you know, I think the most powerful words ever is like, you know what, Ilya, I'm proud of you. No. You tell that to a kid and they're like,
they open up, yeah.
Proud to, they go proud of it. Or then you teach, like, how do you teach kids to lead? Man, Dave, I'm going to do this. I need you to stand up and demonstrate for me. Can you be my demonstrator today? Yeah. They stand up and they start hitting the demonstrations. And then you start to teach them to lead. So I think you have to, there's a lot of teaching because kids just weren't taught that. Okay. Whether it's the kids or my coaches, they weren't taught how to lead. So we spend a lot of time, especially, and you look at PARISI, we do a lot of time on the power of positive coaching, how to connect with kids. Now, I will say it's been different because I've been doing this for about 30 years, training kids. It's so much different now than it was then, you know, but I was also way closer to their age, you know, or when my kids were older, like they're talking all the slang. Well, my kids would teach me this slang. Like now it's like that bad, it's like the Captain American, the 2012 one. He goes, hey, I got that one. Like the kids will say something like, I got that. Or I'll use a term like, oh, that was lit. And they're like, dude, that was like 3 years ago. Now it's fire, coach. Now it's fire. Well, I don't know. But you just have to kind of roll with it and you have to roll with the times. And I hate TikTok or I hate Instagram for the most part. But I watch it because that's what the kids are watching. So I kind of see what they're doing. I love watching my kids' videos and stuff. We share everything we can just to give them some props. But I think a lot of it's just is teaching the kids and or the coaches how to interact. I mean, if they, like, I laugh because I think there's some crazy statistics, like 60% of people between the age of 18 and 22 don't know how to ask someone out on a date. Like, dude, it ain't that hard, you know, but they're scared. They communicate via the phone. And it's like, our rules, put the phone down. Like, I think my newest obsession right now when I'm at the gym is just taking pictures of idiots sitting on a piece of equipment with their fucking phone. And I'm going to make a whole video of it. Like, this is, if you want to know the secret, it starts with putting your phone down. And I don't know, I had that shirt. Paul Dwyer, you know Paul Dwyer, don't you? So Paul has I saw him at Worlds and it says, don't be a cunt. I go, my mom says that. And so I told him, so I bought a bunch of his shirts. So I'm wearing the shirt. So I was like, I actually wore the shirt. It's like, that's so offensive. I said, well, and so I made a post of me doing this. with my shirt on. And I said, basically, if you don't put your weights away, if you don't clean your own mess up, if you sit on a piece of equipment scrolling for your phone while someone wants to get on it, my shirt probably offended. And I hope it does. Because I just don't, like, you're sitting there like, hey, can I work in a set? Well, I've got 3 more. And I'm kind of like to the point now, it's like, and I know the gym owner and they're cool. And I'll post stuff up. My wife isn't set. She'll literally she watch you put that plate out, she'll take a picture of you and then dox you online and post it up. And the gym shares it. So, but I'm like, just if you're not actively doing a set, can you really get off of it? I will clean it. But if you're doing a set every 3 minutes and I'm doing a cluster of 5 movements and I get all 5 movements done while you've done 1 set, you're probably setting longer than you should be, And I think you just have to teach people and teach this generation that life's not on your phone. Life's an interaction with people. And kids are very, I think the word I would use is crippled, in the sense of like socially crippled, because they're so used to the phone. Even the kids that I coach, because like, guys, why do you have your phone out on the floor? You're coaching. Now, we use it to shoot videos, or if I have programming on there, that's one thing. But like my staff's like, we have Train Heroics, so the kids can record it. So I'm like, okay, I want it all done with pen and paper. We got Train Heroics, so the kids are used to it. So I finally broke down and let the kids have their phones. But I swear to God, if any of you are on TikTok or Instagram and I catch you, the entire class does burpees while you count. So if there's 20 kids, and we only had to do it a couple times. And the kids police themselves. Hey, Dave, can you put your phone down? I really don't want to do burpees today.
Yeah.
Okay. And because you're the ones going to count them. You don't even have to do them.
No, I'm cracking up because when we grew up, burpees were like up downs.
Yeah.
They were the punishment for shit.
Right. Yeah.
And then for a while there, it became like the premier exercise.
Yes.
Like, who wants to do this?
Or bear or monkey rolls.
Yeah. Like, you volunteer, like, this is punishment.
I remember some CrossFitters challenged me to some burpees, and I absolutely demolished them. Like, how are you so good at burpees?
No, man. I have
spent
such
my
a
whole
negative
childhood in rugby,
Right.
Yeah.
martial arts, doing burpees as punishment.
Exactly.
You don't have to teach me how to do burpees.
I owned a CrossFit box and I trained where it was a CrossFit box. Like, well, they have burpees. Like, I don't like doing burpees. Like, well, yeah, but this is the workout. I said I didn't like doing burpees. I just don't like them. It's like, I also don't like running miles because that's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, like our coach and me, you screwed up, Dave. Go run 5 miles. Like, I never wanted to run again. Like sprinting, that's fine. Running, no. I mean, have I still done it? I don't do it now, but up till about 5 years ago, yeah. Could I still go for a run? Yeah, I could. Do I want to? No. I got a fucking car. You want to run 3 miles? I'll be there. I'll see you when you get there.
Go for a walk.
Exactly.
But I'm not running.
Yeah. Were there any topics you wanted to talk about I didn't bring up?
Well, I got a question for you, unless you have one.
No, go ahead.
So, how did you come about bringing Strongman to the U.S.?
Oh my God, that's a Clint Garden. I didn't. I've just been. I laugh because one of my clients like, yeah, you've been around since Jesus brought Strongman, created Strongman. I'm like, I've just been around, and I love the sport, and I want to see it grow here in the States. And I hear a lot of people, they complain like the sport's not growing enough. Well, what are you doing to grow?
What are you doing to grow?
What are you doing to grow it? So it's like I've promoted since '94, and try to put money back in the sport. I've run some higher level shows. That's been cool. Now that I coach, I judge, if I can get my knee straight, I'd probably want to compete one more time. I mean, I did my last Worlds was in 22, and I got 6th place in the 50 plus class. I'm hoping that wasn't my last one. It could. It's funny because I had my kids come and watch it, and we went to Disney World and hung out in Disney World for 3 days with my children as adults. So it was really cool. But if that was the last one,
it's time to go to Disney World.
If that was the last one, it's the last one. I'm okay with it. I love promoting. I love, like, now I judge a lot. I just want to see the sport grow, and it's like people want to complain about it. If you want to see it grow, be the change. You want to see change, be the change. So it's like I donate money every year. I give my time every year. I volunteer every year, and I coach. I mean, coaching is a business, part of my business. So I coach that, and I think that's I keep my hands on in it. But then judging, I just judged the contest this weekend. I just want to give back and make the sport better than when we found it. And I said a long time ago, I didn't want to see our sport splinter like I watched powerlifting splinter. Now we've got USS, we've got Strongman Corp, and there's OSG, and there's SCL, and there's the Strongman Champions League, or there's Giants Live. So they've got all these shows. And I think that's good for the sport. And the sport's in a better spot now than it's ever been. There's more money, but people they're not patient. Like the ladies, well, the ladies should get paid what the men get paid. I'm like, well, can they draw the same crowd?
Well, sometimes I think when they say things like that, they should look at where it was 10 years ago.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think they don't
or even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't like, hey, I threw the 2001 America's Strongest Man. Our prize package was $10,000. We did it in a football field. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not in a giant arena. Now these guys, well, why can't we have giant arenas like they do in Europe? Well, newsflash, guys, we're not in Europe. Mm-hmm. What sports do the big guys play in Europe? There is no American football, so they throw or they play rugby, but the strongman has a much bigger crowd base, fan base in Europe. Now it's growing. I think it is growing here. It's just, but like if you've got to compete with a professional football team and a basketball team and a baseball team, pro strongman is like, fuck, I don't want to go watch this meet. I'm going to watch this football game because it's 3 hours long. I can drink 3 beers, have my lunch, and you go to a strongman contest and it's 8 hours later for the big ones. Mm-hmm. For the strongman, for like the shows, they can tailor that. So I think that's a little bit different, but. I didn't really bring it here, but I've tried my best in the last 30 plus years to
You're being humble about it because like the amount of contribution that you're doing from the sport to the sport, other than participating directly as a ref and a judge and a promoter, it's also having that big contingent of athletes that you're also putting into the sport at a successful, level. I mean, you have probably one of the biggest groups in the U.S. of athletes that are successful strongman athletes.
I've had some success. I mean, I think I'm blessed with really good athletes. Make a mediocre coach look pretty good. I think I'm a little better than mediocre. I just look at I'm willing to grind with my athletes. I mean, because they're my athletes. I mean, and I laugh because I said, like off the phone, like, I love you, coach. I mean, how many times if I said that to my high school coach, he'd probably punch me in the face. But I laugh now because it's like you create this culture that you actually do care, and I do care about my athletes deeply, And I laugh because it's like one of my guys last week 2 weeks ago at the PARISI Summit, Sam Tolner, one of my coaches, was the coach of the year, and I had to announce him coming up. So like I had to get up there, like I'm a little choked up, a little teared up. It's like but I look at where was he at, what did he do to get there, and it's one of those incredible things that you see. How did you get there? And then that just kind of builds upon it, and you want to keep doing it. And so I want to continue to see the sport grow, and knowing where it came from, and seeing where it's at, and like just take the Shaw Classic. I mean, Brian calls me up because, hey man, I'm doing this thing called the Shaw Classic, and would you come out and judge it for me? I'm like, Brian, why do you want me to judge it? He goes, because when we first started the sport and I had questions, you were always there to answer my questions, and you always helped me. You and Van always helped me. And I go, Brian, it would be a complete honor to come and judge the show, but I think there's other people that I think are more deserving. He goes, you were there, you've been here the whole time, you've always helped. He goes, I want you to be here. And that's like when people, are you going back to this show? So if Brian calls me and says, be here, I'll be there. If Brian says, hey man, I don't need you this year, then I don't need you this year. I mean, I hope I'm going back. I enjoy it. I want to give back to the sport. But at the same time, if I wasn't judging or helping or expediting, I'm going to be there coaching my athletes, and you want to see the sport grow. You want to see it get better. And I think that's where I want to see is like, where's it at in 10 years when people can make a living? Now, I know the ladies are always, we should get paid what the men get paid. Well, are you Brian Shaw? Can you fill a stadium? Mm-hmm. If you can't fill a stadium, then you probably can't get paid. Now, Rogue puts money, or the Olympia gave money, or the Arnold's gives money.
Arnold, yeah.
If you sit here and say we're going to give you $10,000 and you $10,000, split it equally. Now, if it's someone else's money, just spend it however you want. Like I run my shows, here's the prize money. If I'm giving prize money to men and women, how many people were in the class? I'm not stealing from the men to pay the women, or stealing from the women to pay the men. Mm-hmm. It's going to be what's fair. We had 20 entries. There's $3,000. That's the prize money. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, again, I'm running a Masters event. So I run Masters Pro Strongman League, and giving the mature athlete a place to go. Because when I aged out as a pro, I did my last Open America's Strongest Man in 2007, 2008. No, 2013. Shit, it was long later. But I was 44. But was there a place for masters to go? And that's why we kind of started creating masters. And now there's masters. Is there money? Because masters make money. Well, I'm trying to give masters back some money. So we just raised the money to run the show, and all the entry money goes back to the athletes. I want to do that because I want to see the sport continue to grow. Now when I first started, there was a 40s class, and I was like, Lynn, we need a 50s class. Why would we do a 50s class? That's because I'm going to turn 50. So he did one, and I was like, Lynn, you should probably, I think, and a lot of people push this, you probably need a lightweight master's class, like under 105. And then there was a lightweight master's class. I'm like, Lynn, I think it's about time we need a 60s class. He goes, why? Let me guess, you're like going to be 60 soon? I said, in 4 years, so you've got time. I don't know.
Got to get ready for it. Yeah.
No. Not more of a question for you.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of similarities growing up. How did you deal with that? How do you think that affected you going into training or into your business, or, how this all got started?
Well, training was wrestling and training kind of coincided at the same time. Because in short, I became the person that everybody was fucking with to the person nobody's going to fuck with. Right. Just because I was stronger and they could physically see, the difference from all that. It probably didn't help me to communicate very effectively.
Right.
Because I drifted towards individual sports. Like football was rough for me.
Yeah.
Because it was a team sport, even though I was a captain, but I was a captain just because I was stronger and worked harder than everybody else. But it did piss me off when other people didn't work hard.
Right.
Because I suffered the consequences by us losing, which pissed me off, from that whole standpoint. Educationally, when we grew up, we were kind of tracked. Right. So you're tracked just to graduate or trades, because the trade school, at least where I was from, was in the high school.
Right. We didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a separate school, so it wasn't that, and it wasn't college prep. It was just get this kid to graduate. And that kind of coincided with I'm getting stronger. So now I'm better at sports just because I'm physically stronger than everybody else. And so now when you're better at sport and you're physically stronger and you're at the time that we grew up, you didn't have to worry about your grades. Coach just kind of showed up and knocked on the door and you got a D, or a C. So I never studied or never really did anything. And so in that realm, it was my junior year. I think my parents started talking about college to the principal who lived down the street. And they're like, you understand your kid doesn't even have a grade point to graduate. And I had structured my schedule with the coaches to where I was in the weight room from period 1 to period 5.
Oh, wow.
It was like study hall, weight training, lunch. And it worked out great for them because they didn't have to supervise. They just went to McDonald's and drank coffee.
And you actually ran the weight room?
Yeah, I'm running the weight room.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Right. And I didn't train, because I trained at night with my powerlifting friends that were cops, that were older, that helped to shape me a lot.
Right.
Because I was putting that, my dad put me into that group because I was getting in too much trouble, otherwise. So it's like, hey, if I have him go to this private gym, which he had no idea about powerlifting, and the chief of narcotics is the one that kind of runs it, and a lot of cops train there, then he's probably not going to be doing the shit that he's doing,
out of trouble.
And stay out of trouble, which kind of did that. But that shift to where I made a realization that I'm going to end up working at a factory, the rest of my life. And my dad did have me work in a factory over the summer, just for that experience, to know how bad this really sucked, to then going on to college. And long story short, they took the weight training classes and they graded it enough to be able to have a grade point average that I could graduate, but not enough to really get into a good college. So I had to go to Purdue University at the time, which was a small school, and it was just a business school at the time. And my first year there, I was taking courses you were supposed to take in high school: algebra, biology. I mean, the classes I took were like business math, rock science, reading, the special ed classes basically in high school. And those were all my friends. This was the other dichotomy between this. Those were all my friends. The athletes weren't my friends. Right. The athletes were the ones that were making fun of these guys, because they're always in trouble and they're, I forget the name of, white trash, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And through Tiffin, I did very well because all I had to do was train, right? And then study. right? And they were small classes.
Right.
And I did well. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm not a retard. And there was a catalyst in there too, where after that, because from there I went to Bowling Green and flunked out the first quarter because I didn't go to class, right? Because they give you a syllabus and here's the test date, just show up, take the test, I'm going to train. Because powerlifting was all I really cared about. First and foremost, everywhere I went was because there was a powerlifting crew, right. You know, wherever was going to be there. And that's when, after that, I flunked out, I made this realization that I guess it is just this factory thing, you know, that's labeled. So like, this is just going to be what it's going to be. And my old wrestling coach was in the weight room and I came in, and while I was in college, I discovered the library for the first time. Mm-hmm. And literally for the first time, I never went to a library in my life ever, not in elementary school, not ever. And my girlfriend at the time would be studying, and I found the International Journal of Sports Nutrition. I found the NSCA Journal. I found the Soviet Sport Review. Okay. So I'm up there just reading this shit, man, because at the time my total was kind of stagnant. Right. Old linear periodization. It works. We all know it works, but this is 10 years into powerlifting at this point. Right. And it's not working. I'm like, this is a fucking block period. Like this shit is not in muscle and fitness. Right. You know, I'm going to integrate a lot of this stuff, and my totals start going up. And so when I saw my strength coach, he's like, how are things going? And he knew I flunked out, but I didn't know that he knew. And I'm like, man, I'm just going on about block periodization and how we should break these things into waves, and how this classic linear periodization model, all the shortfalls to it, like it works. But now I know why I triple more than I did in the meet and all this other kind of stuff. And I probably went on for 45 minutes, and he just like slapped me in the chest and said, you didn't answer my question. How's it going? I flunked out. Da, da, da. And straight up looked at me and said, here's what your problem is. You're not stupid. You're just fucking lazy. He says, everything that you just told me, I've never heard about before in strength and conditioning. You're not looking at notes. You know, you're just rambling all this shit on. And when I drove home, I pulled over and I probably cried for an hour because I didn't know the answer to his fucking question. Was I lazy? Was that the reason? Or am I stupid? You know, and that's what sent me back to college. And then it was a matter of, I can't transfer because I got a 0.75 grade point average. I don't want to take the classes I just failed because I'm not stupid. And if I fail those again, I'm out for good. I'm just going to go to the bookstore and find books and courses that interest me and just take those, which happen to be like deviant sexual behavior, criminal behavior. And I did that for 3 years while still training. Keep in mind, that's still top priority. Right. And, you know, working all the jobs I had to do to be able to pay for school. And then my wife at the time, girlfriend, but wife at the time now, said, how many credit hours do you have? I had like, I don't know, 160? Like, you only need 148 to graduate. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just randomly taking courses. And, we get all the check-off lists that you get from each college that you have to complete to be able to graduate. And I was one class away from graduating with a sociology degree. And I'm thinking, what do you do with that? Like a census taker? Like, what the hell am I going to do? But my grade point then was now at a 2.5. And that's when I made the decision that I'm going to transfer to the University of Toledo, and I want to be a strength and conditioning coach. They didn't have tracks for that. Right. So I had a counselor.
When did you graduate college?
Probably 98, 99, somewhere, 97, somewhere. So I graduated 90. Yeah. And so I sat down with the counselor and said, this is what I want to do. It's training related. It may be a personal trainer, but they didn't even really exist then either, except celebrity trainers.
Very little.
I just want to train people. Right. And we laid out a curriculum of public speaking, communication, exercise science, you know, bio nutrition, the whole thing. And it was 2 years. And then I never got less than an A. Right. Because it's all stuff I wanted, right? And I thought I was going to be a strength coach. And through that process is when I realized that communication was more of a vital skill. Yes. You know, and with the communication courses, the public speaking and all that. And that football did help me, right? Because that was always a battle with me,
right?
Because I wanted to wrestle and I was at that weight cap, that if I stayed wrestling, I wouldn't be heavy enough for what the football coach wanted me to be able to play football, right? And I was very good at both. So I ditched one, the wrestling to be able to have the football. Plus I didn't went 2 seasons because I was powerlifting.
Right.
Where as you found with the football, you can peak and then you go into 2-a-days and then you can maintain your strength. Season's over, then you got a long time to be able to compete again. And so full circle, it all worked out, because of that. But if it wasn't for that coach, calling me out on my shit, this is where youth coaches, this is where it's huge, man. It's way bigger than what people think.
It's the most important job in my opinion.
Yeah. And even when I was wrestling, and I was raised kind of where you were, where you don't quit. I remember playing soccer and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. And after like the first 3 days, my parents were like, no, you're doing this until it's over. I hated the whole fucking thing. And there's multiple experiences like that. But there was a time when my mom was late picking me up from wrestling practice and I was a fish, right? Get beat all the time. And right around the same time I started training and I'm running the stairs and she's late. I must have ran the stairs for 45 minutes. The lights are off. And the coach walks by and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm sick of getting beat. He said, you work harder than everybody else. You'll never get beat again. And that stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? So that was a coach. You know what I'm saying? That was a coach at 12, 13 years old that had an imprint for the rest of my life. Sometimes I don't think coaches understand, the difference they can make.
What's the old saying? A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change your life.
100%. And you never know.
And I was laughing because I see if it was on my phone, but if you can see on my phone, it says, if not you, then who? This one? If not you, then who? Making a difference one child at a time.
Yeah, and you don't know.
And that's been my mantra.
That one.
This one, okay, sorry. If not you, then who? Making a difference one child at a time. I mean, you look at it as a coach, what's our job? Okay, yes, I'm teaching a sport. I'm teaching sports performance. But it's like, I have to get you to believe. Like, here's the thing. I look at most people. I have to get you to believe in yourself. Okay, I believe in you, but I got to get you to believe in yourself. Once I get you to believe in yourself, what can't you do? Okay, how successful can you be? I mean, I was talking about Sam, and I kind of feel bad now because I gave we do the interviews, like I told him when I talked to him, it's like, okay, Sam, when we sit down, it's like, he goes, Coach, what do I do? I said, well, so you're the weakest link on our team. You're the worst coach on staff, and this is what you need to do. And I was very frank. I wasn't mean. But I said, Sam, I see a great coach in you. You just got to work your tail off. You need to study more. You need to do it. You need to do the work, and you'll get there. I know you can. I know you can. So I don't want you to be discouraged. I just want to know. I know you can get there. Well, then I'm interviewed for his award, and I go, wait, and it's like, so how was it? He was terrible. He's the worst coach on staff. And I said it just like that, like we're just talking. And Sam hears the awards. He goes, oh my God, Coach, that was horrible. I go, I couldn't tell you that at the time. I couldn't tell you you're terrible. What did I tell you? Because you believed in me. I said, what happened? Now I go, 4 years later, you're the coach of the year for this entire network. I go, I think you got the message. And I said, that's the hardest thing is learning. How do you say it? How do you say it and again, what we do as PARISI is we build self-esteem and self-confidence through edifying the athlete. What can't you do? You got to believe in them. I think when you start to believe in kids and I say, love them, you got to fucking love them. You love the kids. And that's what your coach did. He loved you. He had the hard conversation. Sorry, Dave, you're not stupid. You're just lazy. But you need to focus on this. And then what happened when you did? I don't know. I think did a pretty good job. Because look where you're at now. I mean, look what you've done. Yeah. But I think that drive. I think sometimes that drive that you're not good, or some people tell you're not good. I've heard that a lot. You'll never amount to anything. You'll never amount to anything.
Well, we were kind of raised in that.
Right.
Go to this class. You're not like everybody else.
Right. You can't be fucking You're not smart enough. You know how many times I said that? I was like, fuck you. I'm smart. Am I not smart enough? You know what? Here's one line of this. I said this. I will out fucking work anybody. You want to go to war? Let's go to war. And if you want to say who's going to work harder, I will outwork your ass. I said, now at 56, I'll take my work ethic against any of these kids. I'll work circles around them. Now, I'm tired as shit when I get home, but I'll never let you know that I'm tired as shit.
Yeah.
So, no, I love my staff because they treat me well, and I love them. They're good kids. We have fun. We talk about having fun. It's like, they teach the kids that they call coach grandpa coach. Or I had the kid come up and he goes, my coach goes, hey, coach, I need a squat pad. And I looked at him, I go, you what? Coach Tyler told me to come over here and ask you for a squat pad. And I go, here's what you're going to do. You're going to walk back to Coach Tyler. You're asking him to bend over. This kid's 10 years old at the time. I go, he's going to bend over and you're going to punch him in the jaw. And he says, we don't use squat pads here. And he goes, Coach, I can't do that. I said, I gave you permission. So he walks over, Tyler, come down here. He bends down, he punches him in the jaw. And he goes, we don't have squat pads here. And he goes, what are squat pads? And he said, later his dad's hardcore. Yeah. His dad comes back, he goes, squat pads are for pussies. And that's when he came back. 10-year-old kid comes back to tell Coach Tyler.
Yeah.
My dad said squat pads are for pussies. So, I mean, again, is that what we should be teaching the kid? Probably not. But, that kid went on to, where's he at now? He's going to be he was really not a very good athlete. Now he's a 3-year starter at his high school football team. Because it was simple, just go work hard. Give your best effort. Once you start teaching kids that's where the magic's at. I mean, sports performance, we don't do a lot. I mean, what's so different about PARISI than Exos or anybody else? We have a system, we believe in kids. And you love on the kids, and you teach them, and you just get them to apply that consistently. That's where the magic's at.
Yeah, one other thing I learned from those two coaches was I wrote about these experiences in the Under the Bar book that I wrote forever ago, and sent them a copy, and they had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. Right. So then my learning lesson from that was, if you've had coaches that have made a difference in your life, let them know. Yeah. Right. Because coaching is a grind. Right. We can sit here and try to make it sound, all grandiose and all this other stuff. But a lot of high school coaches, a lot of coaches in general, it's a grind. Right. And a lot of times they'll get stuck in does this really fucking matter? Does this make any difference? Because they don't get the accolades, that they would normally get or be able to see. Especially, and now that everything's moved online, I kind of use Wendler as an example of this, is he was writing for the site and doing all the Q&As and all this other kind of stuff. And when you're online, most of what you see as far as feedback is not good. Right. Right. It's negative. Then when he basically stopped doing that, and he started strength and conditioning in high school kids. Every day, there's the high fives, there's all that stuff that you're talking about. It's this is reinforcing you're making a difference, you're doing a good job. When it's all online, you have no idea. You're just throwing shit out into the void. Does this make a difference? Does it not make a difference? And that's where that personal contact, especially if you're in the coaching sector, I think even if they're online, they need to have some of that personal to be able to validate that what they're doing actually makes a difference.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Funny because we do in our certification, it's the power of positive coaching. So, and when I do it, it's always like this. Okay, I always ask, who is that coach? Because you had two coaches. We all remember two coaches, the really bad one and the really good one. And I always just ask, what kind of coach do you want to be? Do you want to be the coach that in 30 years kids are still telling stories about you? That is good, or the shitty one? I said, because you got a choice as a coach. And I said, my choice is this. I want to be the coach that in 20 years are talking about the lessons that I taught them. And I wouldn't end up here if I wasn't for that coach. I want to inspire them to do more than they ever thought they could. And I said, that's what a true coach is doing. You're taking someone from A to B that they can't do themselves. And I said, now at that same time, all coaches need attaboys. So I always make them do this. You need to call your coach. You need to call your coach and just simply say thank you. And Coach, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without you. So I could list my list of coaches to this day. There's a zillion of them, but I always want my coaches to think you know what? If that kid's going home and talking to mom, when they get in the car and they're talking, Coach Dave said this, Coach Dave said that. It's I want mom and dad to say, I'm sick of hearing about Coach Dave. If a coach did their job, that's what's happening. So I think when you look, you hit it around the head. Those coaches didn't know that. And coaching is a grind. And it's tough. I look at now, I can sell anything. I could sell medical devices or drugs and make lots more money. I said, but I work in an industry, and I said there's money and there's wealth. They're two different things. They can be synonymous, but they don't have to be. I'm very wealthy in the sense that, any given day, someone sends me a message saying, hey, thanks. And that's when you've coached 30,000 people. You get a lot of those. And there's days that man, I'm just questioning. I remember a kid named Chad Landrum. I coached him last year. I coached him in 98. This is when I was living in Missouri. It's 2020. I get a letter from Chad Landrum. I haven't talked to kid in 22 years. 2 pages long, telling me where his life's at. I wouldn't be here without you. I was and I was literally at that day, I was just sitting in my office going, you know what? Why the fuck do I keep doing this? It's I'm here at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not getting done till 8 o'clock at night. I'm tired as shit. And I get this letter. I'm like, fuck. Okay. This is why. That letter's why. And then it's when you start to see those kids, and I think that's what I like about PARISI. We train kids. I've trained adults, and I think that's great. But you train that kid, you could change the trajectory of their life forever. And I look at what I didn't have. I want to give those kids what I didn't have. I want to give those kids a coach that cares, a coach that loves you, a coach that will go the extra mile, a coach that's there for you when you need it. Now, I was blessed to have some really good coaches that were there for me. Okay. I don't want to say I had a lot that weren't. Okay. But when I look at my coaching staff, I tell my coaches that I coach, I want those kids telling stories about you in 10 years, and I look at from my coaching lineage of where we're at, there's 17 coaches that were mine that own their own facilities now. Must have did something right because they want to keep doing the same stuff the old man's doing, and they're always telling me, hey man, I was laughing because it's old man, hey old man. I was just laughing because I used to think about my coach. I never said it. Now these young kids are like, hey old man, how's it going? Or grandpa, or they pick on me and they tease me. It's in good fun. And it's in the winter time, so they'll send one of the athletes up. Coach, do we need to get someone to walk you to your car?
Yeah, do you need a blanket?
Why someone need to walk me? Well, it's dark out and we don't want you to, or it's slick. We don't want you to.
Yeah.
You guys, seriously, my staff's like that. But it's you have fun like that. And then the kids have fun like that and they see that we're real people. But then when the kids, as they get older, it's always tell your coaches thank you. Always tell your teachers thank you. You know what? Teaching it can kind of be a sucky job, but when you get that kid that you make the difference in their life and they keep telling you thank you, it kind of makes it easy to show up. I look at lists financially, I'm fine, wealthy. I'm wealthy beyond belief because I've been able to help so many people. And I think if you look at what do you want to do in the world, it's make a difference. And that's what I like when my mom died and the line of people coming in to see my for wake was insane because she impacted me. It's I hope when I die that's twice as long, because that means you actually impacted the world and made a difference. Making money, oh fuck, if we all want to make money, we know how to make money. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But did you make impact? Did you make change? Did you make a difference? And I think at the end of the day, that's what I think I want to do. I think, and I will say this just because I've been doing business with you for a long time. I laugh because I hadn't met you until 2022 Swift. I'm like, oh my God, how could I have bought equipment for you 20 years ago?
Yeah.
But we've never met each other.
Yeah.
We've had emails back and forth, and it's to guys like you, thank you.
Yes.
This gem is incredible. Your podcast is incredible. What you've done to actually educate people and bring great quality information is incredible. Now, I laugh at that when I think of, I was just at Arnold and there's the Young LA booth, which I thought it said Young Law. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I had to ask that.
What the hell is Young Law? And there's lines of people are lined up to see the Trend Twins and Lean Beef Patty, and these people they're fucking fake. I'm like you guys are getting your information from booty chicks and guys, 23-year-old kids who are so jacked up on drugs they probably won't live to 40. And if that's what you're into, great. But then you've got Hafthor Bjornsson over here. There's 8 guys waiting to talk to him. Or Ed. People walked in. Oh, that's Ed Cohn. Who the hell's Ed Cohn? Seriously, what the fuck? What planet are you from? But I look at that. It's these are the influences. So you got Ed Cohn, or you got the Trend Twins telling you who you want to listen to. Most of these kids want to listen to the Trend Twins. Dude, I know who they are. I had to look them up because it was the Trent twins. I'm like, the Trent twins, like Trinabolin? Yeah. Like, so they basically take a lot of drugs and put up content, like pretty much. And I'm like, and cool. They've got 3 million followers. So that's what scares me is like we said, when we started, sit down, old coaches, who wants to listen? I've been there and I actually have coaching. And I laugh what you said because Tom Plummer told me this. He goes, all these people out doing influencing, what are they really coached? Because I always laugh every year. I went to nationals. I'm going to be a strongman coach because I did nationals. I'm like, okay, now you're a strongman coach. You did nationals. What'd you place? Well, don't worry about it. Okay, so 47th out of 48. Great. Now you're a coach. Like, I actually have a coaching lineage. I actually have education. I have lots of education. I spend more money. I spend $5,000 a year on education for one simple reason. Am I a better coach today than I was? Because there's some people I don't need to know anymore. Bullshit. Yeah. Like, no, you're absolutely fucking wrong there. Like, I want to be a better businessman. I want to be a better coach. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father. How do you do that? You have to consistently educate. And I think that's what you guys. And again, I'm like the stalker guy. I've listened to podcasts and I read stuff and the book, I've read some of the books and.
Yeah, you never stop learning.
You never stop learning. I laugh because I can't remember when it was. It's like 2002. There was a story. It was like you guys went to a seminar and I think it was Jim's wife bought you all training. And I was sitting in my office when I read it, and I literally, because I hadn't peed, I laughed so hard I pissed my pants because it was so funny. Because they're like, yeah, they went there, like they got the little ace trainer, and he's like, oh, hey guys, let's go do a cardio. No, motherfucker, here, put this liniment on my back. And they were doing speed squats, and the guy's like sliding the place out. I'm like, I laughed my ass off because one day I'm going to do that. So I've actually done it once. I hired a trainer, like, here, I'm going to pay, you're going to train me. Here's my program. No, dude, I'm training you. I said, no. Here's my program. You just need to load the weights because I just didn't want to fucking lift the weights. Yeah. So I paid $65. Some jackass to lift. But the story was so funny. Like, and then you had the guy stretch them, and they had their and it was like I read it and laughed my ass off. I was like, I think I messaged you or emailed you time. I go, how do you get so good at writing? He goes, right. Like I was like, duh. Okay. How do you get at speaking? Speak. Yeah. So. I want to say thank you to you for having me here, number one, and just all that you've done over the years. I don't think enough people say that.
Thank you.
Like I saw Chris Duffin, it was at this Arnold a couple years ago. I come up like, hey, Chris, I just want to say thanks. He goes, thanks for watching. Like the shoes, the equipment, everything you've done. And he's like kind of looking at me. What's your angle? I go, there's no angle. I just want to say thank you. I don't think enough people say that. I don't think enough people appreciate genius when they see it. Like you've created a business from nothing to this. And, having done that myself and see it, it's like, it's like, man, you're pretty badass. And what you've done is awesome and how much you've helped people. I mean, because I want my life to make a difference. And kind of like where I'm at today with PARISI Corporate, I was in a box. I can help 250 kids. Okay, that's what I was doing. Okay, is that the biggest? And again, you start to get in that, I want to say that you're in that second half of the third quarter of your life, you start kind of questioning stuff. What am I going to do? How am I making an impact? And I kind of looked at it like from long term, if I can help other facility owners, other coaches coach more kids, then I'm making a bigger difference with the kids. And if I really want to live my mission, which is to make a difference, I had to get out of where I was at, coaching one-on-ones and groups and teams and just in one box. And now with PARISI Corporate, I get to help gym owners navigate good training and good business practices to make money. At the end of the day, you can't help kids if you're out of business. Yeah. And I just want to say, here's the PARISI Speed School is a youth-based performance company that not only has training, but it has business systems. And the business systems are designed in such a way to make it very simple to implement. Because I will say this, I mean, I was married. I got divorced in 2014. We ran the gym together for 20 years. Okay. I didn't know the business. I wasn't a business guy. She was business. I was exercise science and nutrition, and I trained the staff and did coaching, and it was the face of the business. I always used to laugh. I was like the Queen of England with no power. I was the head of state, but the Parliament ran everything, and the Prime Minister. She was that. In the last 11 years, I've had to learn how to run a damn business, which I learned from PARISI, which is, hey, we got business systems and we're going to teach you how to make money and become profitable. How do you look at a P&L? I had no idea how to look at a P&L statement. And like the minute she quit, I was like, payroll's due on Friday. It's Wednesday. I don't know how to fucking do payroll. okay, I got on the phone, ADP, and walk me through this. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, learning that shit was tough. So I think what you've done is teach people. I think what PARISI does is, again, teach people. And it's all about how do we teach people to train. That's the easiest part.
Yeah.
You know, how do I teach you to have a successful business? And I think that's what I've looked at this stage of my life from PARISI standpoint, because I've been donning this uniform. I laugh because I'm wearing the same uniform. I've been wearing the same uniform for 20 years. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of like in my blood. I love it. I love what we do. I love how we help kids. And then I look at my own side for Strongman, and I have my clients. I look where I've been, and I want to help them navigate the pit, the potholes and shit that I had to run through. Because I look at it like I've paid a lot of dumb tax, and if I've paid it, maybe you don't have to, either from PARISI or from Strongman. And I think that's where I look.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of simultaneously doing both. While at the same time, I think the gym that I'm at has already torn out a wall, put in turf. They're letting me put on my Strongman. So we're talking about a PARISI. So like there'll be a PARISI there. I'm pretty confident. It's Warrior Performance in Macomb County in Michigan. It's a great gym. We do have a monolift too. Unfortunately, it's just an attachment. We're going to get a roll.
Yeah.
So
it works for now.
We might have to get one.
We might have to be talking. It's funny because I talked to Matt about this. Like, dude, Matt, we got to talk about this because he sold me all my equipment when we bought the last iteration of our gym. So I'm like, I come across all these leads. Like, dude, I know all the equipment people. So like, I'm going to talk to him later. I said, I need to get your card so I can make sure I'm getting you to quote stuff for me because then it allows me to use all the people that I know. And people that I know are going to do a good job. Yeah. Because I think that's the number one thing for me is like who I affiliate with is the best of the best people. And you guys have done a hell of a job. And it's always fun because I always kick, but like, who should I use? Well, here's my approved vendor list. And you guys are one of the approved vendors because I know all those people personally and how they are and how they act. And they're people of integrity and character. And again, I just want to say this. I thank you. I mean, just sitting here, it's kind of surreal because when you guys go like, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, okay, bucket list shit.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, that would be so cool. Yeah. I'm like, yes, I definitely do. And what you've given back to this industry, you know, it's just incredible. And I just think you need to hear thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. How can people go about finding you?
Well, I'm nothing great science. It's Chad Coy on Facebook and Chad Coy on Instagram.
What's your TikTok?
I don't have TikTok, and I don't have those other ones. I got those two. Or just go to PARISI. If you go to PARISI Speed School, you can book a call or get my email off the PARISI Speed School website. I'm pretty basic, dude. I mean, my Instagram, if you look at my stuff, it's usually posting my athletes and just what they're doing. Or sometimes I'll sneak a few, what I'm still doing.
Yeah.
No one really gives a shit.
Yeah. I got out of bed today and it didn't hurt.
Yes. that's or I got out of day.
Status update. I
got out of day and my right knee is the only thing that hurt. And my left hip and my back and my right shoulder. And my elbow. So there you go. But it's pretty simple. I don't know. I never had a good handle. You know, Chad Coy, that's my name. I wasn't really, my jersey number was 55, so it's Chad Coy 55.
That works. That works.
Simple.
Yeah.
I'm a simple guy.
I got a gift for you here.
Oh, awesome.
And there is some element packs, but there's a training log, which I have them custom made from the same people that make our weightlifting belts, you know, General Leathercraft. But more importantly, I have a coin in there that I give out to people that I think embody the reason I founded the company in the first place, which was to live, learn, and pass on, which you do a amazing job of doing. And I keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing now because you're helping the coaches that are going to create more coaches, right? Which just makes the tree even bigger, which is the coaches that I spoke about, people like Louie and all the other people, we kind of walk the same path, just different direction. They didn't have to help us, man. No. It's not like we were paying these guys. You know, they were helping because they wanted to see you do better, see me do better. And my fear's always been when coaching started to become monetized, right, that we're going to lose that. You know, then when we lose that, how is the kid like me, that 12 years old, going to be able to get the message, you know, and so forth? And it's people like yourself and others that I'll give those coins to that keep that alive and available for the not just the strength sports to evolve, but The qualities that are gained, which we talked about, which are way more important.
Infinitely more important.
Exactly.
Philosophy of poetry.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to thank you for that.
No, my pleasure. I when I came onto Precinct, it's kind of the old saying, the day you were born, the day you figured out why.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2006, I actually figured out why. And it's been a game changer for me, and I wouldn't change anything. I'm kind of welling up, sorry, because I'm emotional about it, but it's like, I know I can make a difference. And I know with all the coaches that we train, we can make a difference. And what you're doing is making a difference. And that's why this actually means a lot. And I've laughed because you gave me a training journal, which I still record everything on paper. So how poignant is that? I got this cool training. I mean, hey, wait, where's the camera? Hey, Gary, I'm sitting here, Elite FTS. He came down a couple of weeks. Oh, this one, sorry. I got my training journal from Elite FTS, Gary. So eat your heart out, buddy.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We're done.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's awesome having you.
All content you see on this channel and at elitefts.com is created by, take a guess, Elite FTS. If you want to help support the content, head over to elitefts.com and pick up literally anything that you need to be able to get more jacked and strong.